When you were gone, he had another one in there. I forget what it was. Like, so they called up this reliever Bradley, right?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do for a nick? Is he called him Bradgy? Even though it's like Bradley?
I have no clue,
man. He loves the nicknames.
He can't help himself.
Can't.
It's like ingrained in him that he has to have a nickname for every single person.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour one of Jon and Jim. We'll be with you until 6 p.m. tonight, so settle in. 4 hours, get you ready for Padres and Giants coming up tonight, game 2. Jared Weiss from The Athletic, he covers the NBA. He's been with us before. He will join us at 2:30. We'll preview Thursday night game 1, OKC and Indiana. Annie Heilbrunn, friend of the show. You should see the text that I sent to Annie. Okay. Why is my light on? I'm so old.
You are very old right now.
We need to get into the ripped jeans.
We will, yes.
So I hate when my light is on. When the light is on your phone, you're basically 68.
Because you don't know that it's on, and you turn it on without knowing it, and it stays on.
In your pocket. And
you're that person.
Or like, you ever like look at someone's phone and the font is so large, like takes up the entire phone.
Yeah, one word is like half the screen.
Exactly. But here's what I texted Annie. Okay, you might like this. You might hate it. Annie, that's what exclamation point. Right?
Okay, yeah.
Any chance you could join me and radio legend Jim Russell today? 3:30, 4:30, or 5 to discuss the latest with the Padres. And thank you as always. Hi, John. For you, yes. For Jim, maybe. 2 emojis. 3
radio legend.
And then I said, she said for Jim, maybe. And I said, ha ha ha. And I said, I feel the same way about Jim. We're just like making fun of you. You're not even on like the thread. It's not even that funny.
I have no opportunity to defend myself.
Chime in, or we could talk to Annie about it.
You're telling me that you're making fun of me behind my back.
And we're not even.
It's not even because you're telling me about it.
Exactly. So Annie will join us coming up at 3 p.m. Let's start with last night. I mean, they won. Which is good. Which is better than losing. If you watch this thing, this is paint drying.
Yeah.
After like some hit by pitches and some warnings and some weird umpiring and some bizarre replays. There was some drama in there early, and there was in the 10th inning because they scratched across a run and the Giants didn't, and the Padres won in shutout fashion, 1-0. The problems remain the problems, which is they can't hit. The good news is they start this 17-game stretch, Jim, and they do it with a win in San Francisco against a really struggling Giants offense. They win it 1-0 last night.
Yeah, I wouldn't describe last night's game exciting. I know that the Padres post-game show and broadcast last night, that's the way they described it. That's not how I would describe it. We were texting back and forth, and it got to a point where I did put out on Twitter, like, what happens first? A team scores a run in this game where the sun explodes, and a lot of people voted the sun would explode before either team would score a run last night. Unfortunately, they scored a run, and so unfortunately the sun did not explode before then.
Right.
Ending all of our lives. But it was not a fun game to watch. It was not an exciting game to watch. But the only thing that matters and the fun part about last night's game was, 1, they got the win, and 2, the defensive work by Jose Iglesias. Like, those were the most exciting parts of the last night's game. Everything else was like, you're right. It was like watching paint dry, especially watching that Giants team.
Yeah, you think the Padres are going through it. The Giants are really going through it. But how about this from the Padres? And again, you under the caveat of they won, which is encouraging, and they've won 3 straight series. So this isn't like pile on. But the truth is the truth. The Padres have scored 1 run or fewer in 9 of their last 18 games. Isn't that amazing? This lineup that includes Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill and Luis Ariz and Gavin Sheets, who came off the bench, thankfully, yesterday and appeared to be healthy. This lineup has, in theory, it's formidable, at least at the top. They've scored 1 or fewer runs in 9 of their last 18 games. That's the bad news. The good news is because they're pitching and because they're bullpen like yesterday, I mean, they're winning. They're 7-3 now in their last 10 games, winning those 3 series and then winning last night.
Yeah, and that's really, at the end of the day, all that matters. Yeah. Like, in the last 10 games, if every win of the 7 wins they had were all 1-0, yeah, it would be a little weird and concerning. And I don't know if that's ever happened in baseball before, but those are all wins. They go in the win column and they count all the same. Just like if you lost a game 1-0, it still counts. Everything here is based off wins and losses, regardless of how you got the job done. And last night, it was hard to watch. Now Logan Webb was really good. I'm not going to discredit. I'm not going to discredit Logan Webb. He is a top 5 pitcher in the National League, top 10 in all of baseball. Like, he's really good. So it's not like they were out there flailing around against some rando, which we've seen before. It was against a Cy Young caliber pitcher.
Yep.
But what they did offensively in the 10th inning, it's it has to be applauded just because of who was up. Like, you had Tyler Wade, Iglesias, and I believe Maldonado.
Yeah, was it Maldonado or Diaz?
One of the catchers. Yep. They're both the same to me. They both offensively challenged is a kind thing to say for them. But Tyler Wade gets the runner over with the bunt, and then Jose Iglesias, who was the star of the night last night, other than Stephen Kolek.
Oh, absolutely.
Gets the run in, textbook way, deep fly ball, easy. The runner scores easy, and it was perfectly executed. I'm sure Schulte could replay that 10th inning in his mind all last night because of how just amazing it was. Incredible. It was just incredible. The execution was incredible. But
have you ever seen something like that where you move a runner from second to third with a bunt and then you hit a ball to the outfield and the run scores?
But it's a rarity.
But the Giants didn't.
Exactly.
They didn't execute. Actually, they hit some balls hard, but as Manny would say, that's baseball.
That's baseball.
And to your point, Iglesias, who came through offensively with the sac fly, came through defensively in playing third base for just the third or fourth time all year. So the win is the win. And now we'll see if behind Berge, they can make it 2-0 to start this 7-game road trip here tonight.
And we asked this question last night on the wrap-up show.
Mm-hmm.
If Manny Machado was at third base last night.
Yeah, does he even make that play?
Does he?
I mean, we'll never know.
I mean, probably odds are he makes that play. But
I don't know.
He's been struggling this year.
Yeah.
Defensively, he has double-digit errors. He has, I think, 10 on the year.
Let me ask you this. What are the odds? Because, again, it's not to take away from what Manny has done defensively, but what are the odds he made all 3 of the plays Iglesias made last night? The come home on a forced play to home, Manny makes that play in his sleep.
Probably pretty high.
Start a double play where Iglesias got rid of that ball quick. Manny does the same thing.
Yeah.
And then does he glove that ball at third there in the 10th inning? I mean, that thing was hit 110 miles per hour, and he was even with the bag.
Probably. I think, Manny struggles this year defensively. On
the routine.
I still think he makes the play last night, but it's a question that you kind of just have to throw out there. Like, does he make, that play? Because he's been struggling this year defensively, and he's still one of the best defenders at third base. I don't care what the metrics say.
Yeah.
I have 2 eyes I watch, and he's still really good defensively. But thank goodness for Jose Iglesias last night. That's all I can say there. Thank goodness for Jose Iglesias, because without him, they don't win that game. Defensively, offensively, getting that sac fly in.
I agree.
And pretty much saving the game there in extras with the defensive play that he made at third base. 110 off the bat, like, not easy at all.
No, and honestly, if that ball gets by him, they probably lose, because it's not just 1-1. There's a runner at second base with either one out there in the 10th inning. Let's turn our attention to Luis Robert Jr., because Jeff Passan today wrote a trade deadline primer in terms of what teams need, and he specifically singled out left field for the Padres surprise.
Oh,
singled it out for 2 months as well. Jeff's a genius. He mentioned a player that 2 years ago hit 38 home runs. The 27-year-old outfielder, he's been a center fielder for most of his career, Luis Robert Jr. The good news is this guy at times has been one of the more accomplished hitters in the game. The bad news is his year. He's hit 178 for the year, and his OPS is somewhere in the 500s. But again, 38 home runs 2 years ago. Again, the good with the bad. He makes $15 million this year. He hasn't hit this year. He's under control, Jim. Good news for each of the next 2 years. The bad news is he's owed $20 million in each of the next 2 years. He would be a massive upgrade even with his struggles. He's a good defensive player, hasn't played much left, and he at least has offensive potential because of what we've seen previously, including in 2023. So yesterday we talked about, again, the possibility of making a move, what it looked like in left field with Jarren Duran. What do you think of the name Luis Robert Jr. that popped up today in Jeff Passan's article?
He's an interesting name. I think there's some potential there. And you saw what Gavin Sheets has done in the Padres system now after coming from Chicago. maybe you could see the same uptick in production from Luis Robert Jr. from Chicago here to San Diego.
Mm-hmm.
He's definitely more obtainable, in my opinion, than Jarren Duran. I think because of the control.
Yep.
I think because of just the production, the money owed. You would not have to give up DeVries or Salas, in my opinion, to get a Luis Robert Jr. I don't know if you'd have to give up DeVries or Salas to get Jarren Duran either. I think the Red Sox would obviously ask about Salas or DeVries. I think DeVries is an instant hang up. I think Salas, you could continue the conversation with Duran. But at this point in time, what Kevin said yesterday, like they're looking at everything and anybody in left field because they know that left field is a giant black hole for them. They cannot keep going with a combination of Wadey and Lockridge and Jason Hayward out in left field. It's just not going to work.
None of it has worked. By the way, coincidentally, and this has nothing to do with Jeff Passan's article, Luis Robert Jr. is out of the lineup tonight for the White Sox. I'm not expecting a June 3rd trade because of Jeff Passan's article between the Padres and the White Sox here today, but Luis Robert Jr. is out of the lineup tonight for the White Sox.
I wouldn't be shocked on a June 3rd trade either.
True, it is the White Sox. It's not like they need to wait until the end of July to make a move.
Well, I say that from the Padres perspective.
Well, the Padres need it, and the White Sox are one of the few teams that don't need to wait to make a move because they're not deciding if they're buyers or sellers.
And I don't think there's going to be a bidding war for Luis Robert Jr.
Based on his year. It's a fair point. Also, if you're the White Sox, a great point from Jeff West in our chat, friend of the show, Jeff, who makes, like, if you're the White Sox, you're even allowed to make trades with AJ Preller, with like Dylan Cease and Gavin Sheets was non-tendered. He just ended up with the Padres. Right. Fernando Tatis Jr. is one of the most infamous trades, obviously, in White Sox history and baseball history, truthfully.
Did you see, real quick, side note, did you see that conversation?
Yeah, with their GM?
With their GM about how Tatis was not originally in the deal?
The Padres didn't even ask for a hitter. They asked for 2 pitchers, and the White Sox were the team that pushed back and said, no, we'd prefer to give you a hitter over these 2 arms.
Makes it even worse for the White Sox.
That makes it so much worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But back to, right now and the need that they have in left field, Luis Robert Jr. is a guy. Is he an upgrade? Would you consider him an upgrade? Like with his numbers right now?
I would consider him a huge upgrade. I don't worry about his numbers because he plays for I was almost cursed. I mean, he plays for an awful organization that unfortunately can point players in a wrong direction when you have nothing to play for. Now, that's not an excuse for Luis Robert Jr. He's got to perform. But when you're in the White Sox organization, wasn't it Kyle Glazer that we had on within the last month? And he's like, the White Sox organization is so poorly run that you just cast it to the side. Like Gavin Sheets, they tried to make him a pull hitter, he said, and he's become an all fields hitter since then. I can't concern myself with Luis Robert's struggles since the start of 2024 when that team was historically bad and this team has absolutely nothing to play for. So I would bet on his upside, and I would hope I could get him without parting ways, to your point, with the absolute cream of the crop in my system to potentially pry him free from the White Sox.
I don't think you would need to.
Right.
I just don't. I don't see the White Sox asking for the world for Luis Robert Jr. The time to ask for everything for Luis Robert Jr. was 2 years ago.
Yep.
When he came off a year where he hit 38 home runs and 80 RBIs and he had 264. Like that's the time. Because last year, big drop off, only 14 home runs. Right now, only 5 home runs. He's hitting sub 200. I see him as an upgrade because he has potential there. But again, could you do better than that?
You could, because Jarren Duran would be better than that.
See, that's my point.
Well, what does it cost?
Is if you want to go out there and you want to make your team the best you can, are you really looking at Luis Robert Jr. as that guy to make your team the best that you can?
I'll make a reason. I could explain away why you would go after Luis Robert Jr. over Jarren Duran, and I'll do that on the other side. Jared Weiss, The Athletic, covers the NBA, will join us at 2:30. Annie Heilbrunn with more on the Padres will join us at 3 p.m. Don't go anywhere. It's Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. Remember, download the app and put San Diego Sports 760 in your presets. Turn on notifications. I think when we went live today, we had a push notification saying Jon and Jim.
Oh, we did,
live.
John.
So you can, again, do all of that on the iHeartRadio app. Let me just make a case for Luis Robert Jr.
Go ahead.
And let me make the case for Jarren Duran. I'm trading for Robert Jr. if I don't want to give up the prospect capital, but I have money. Because he makes money. He's making $15 million this year. So I'm saying, hey, I'll write the check for half of that, right? I'll give him $7 million the rest of this year. Now he's owed $20 million the next 2 years, each year. So if I have money, I'll go the Robert route and not give up the capital. If I don't have money and I want to give up the capital, I go the Duran route. He's making 3.75 this year. I think he's owed something like 10 next year. He's under control for multiple years. I got to give up real capital in my system, but I'm doing it on the cheap. So it depends on like what you're willing to give up, what you have more of. Do you have more capital to give up in your system, or do you have more money to spend to bolster your team?
I would want the better player, even if it means giving up more capital.
So that would be Jarren Duran.
Yes. If you are looking at this like a this is their window,
yep,
then why not use a little more capital to get the player that's better instead of getting somebody that you hope can turn into close to the guy that he was 2 years ago?
But what's a little more? Because if you, let's say in one deal you don't give up any of DeVries or Salas, either of DeVries or Salas, and then the other you give up one of those two players, is that a little more or a lot more?
I'm fine.
I'm cool if it's Salas.
Give me one player that you remember from any trade last year that you're like, man, I can't believe they gave up that guy.
That the Padres traded away, or just in baseball?
The Padres traded away.
Well, I would point towards like, and again, I was a big proponent of the trade. I'd go back 2 years and say like, I mean, like a Juan Soto.
Okay, that's it. The Juan Soto trade will always live in a different category. But that's not happening.
But if you're trading Jarren Duran and included in the deal is Ethan Salas, we may look back and say, wow, they traded Ethan Salas. I think it may be. And I'm more on your side, which is I think I'd be willing to take the risk.
Maybe.
For a guy that's 3 or 4 years away, and maybe his bat's never going to play in the major leagues.
Yeah, I would, and we'll talk about some prospect rankings that came out today regarding Ethan Salas later in the hour. And they're not great. Now he's also injured, so I kind of get it. But I am always the proponent of win now.
Yeah, the guarantee.
Like, I'm trying to do everything to win now. They're not in a rebuild situation. If they're in a rebuild situation, then no chance am I giving up any of my top prospects for anything. Like, I am going to wait this thing out. But are we in a situation where you can wait these things out and wait for Salas and wait for DeVries? No. You're in a win now mode. So for me, going even back to the Juan Soto trade, like I said, it's an outlier, but I was a proponent of it, even though it cost you potentially 3 all-stars in the deal in Gore and Abrams and James Wood, but it was for the there and now. And they got to the NLCS and they took down the Dodgers in the division series. And they were 2 wins away from a World Series. You would trade players for that every day to give yourself a chance, to give yourself the best opportunity to get to a World Series and win a World Series. That's what the Padres did.
100% agree with that. And by the way, if they trade away Ethan Salas and they make a World Series, I don't care what comes of Ethan Salas, because the whole point is to make a World Series, which is something they haven't done now in 27 years. So you can't poo-poo, well, we made the World Series, but we got rid of Ethan Salas. The whole point is to make the World Series. Of course, the full point is to win the World Series.
This is what Kevin wrote in his article today. Says the Padres have been looking for a left fielder since spring training and have ramped up their efforts in recent weeks. They're looking for one that can hit and is affordable, as he told us yesterday. This is the part where you're like, oh, regarding the second requirement, though, people familiar with the Padres situation say money is not the primary challenge. The team is willing to add a few $1 million to the payroll.
Yeah, few, though, is where you look at a Robert. If you acquired him today, they would owe him $10 million for the rest of the year. 2/3 of his $15 million salary.
That might be a little too much.
And if you got him in July at the deadline, it's $5 million.
Now, if you added a better prospect and you asked the White Sox to eat some of that money, like, we'll give you this better prospect if you eat another $4 million.
It's a good point. let's get back to this because we've got Jared Weiss from The Athletic, who covers the NBA, joining us on the other side. We'll get your calls if you want to hold on the line, or you can call back in 15 minutes, 877-767-4760. But Jared Weiss from The Athletic gets us ready for game one of the NBA Finals. Annie Heilbrunn from the UT will join us at 3 p.m. Much more on the Padres conundrum in left field and what options they'll have in the weeks and months ahead, right here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Padres take game one of this 4-game series with the Giants last night. 1-0 thanks to a sac fly in the 10th inning by Jose Iglesias. Game 2 of their series tonight in the Bay. 6:45 first pitch. Ryan Bergert starts tonight for the Padres. And NBA news of the day: the Knicks fired their head coach Tom Thibodeau after the Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. Go New York, go New York, go. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever. A great alternative to a mobile phone for your kids for a limited time. Go to rapidradios.com now for 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
All right, we'll get back to the Padres on the other side, and Annie Heilbrunn from the UT will join us at 3 p.m. But great to connect with Jared Weiss, back with us here on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760. He covers the NBA for The Athletic, and of course the finals get underway on Thursday in Oklahoma City. We've got the Pacers and the Thunder. And Jared, we appreciate you taking time. We kind of tossed this around a little bit yesterday with this idea that is Oklahoma City historically good if they win it all? And then if Indiana wins it, is it a historic upset? How would you see what's possible over the next 2 weeks and what it means for these two franchises?
If the Pacers win, that would be one of the most shocking upsets we've seen in a while. The thing is, as great as OKC has been, they don't have like the legacy of it. And that's such a huge part of these all-time great teams usually is they have a generational superstar that has come up short several times and has been knocking on the door, and he finally breaks it down. Somebody who we think is in the GOAT conversation, things of that nature. And OKC is, based on an individual season, they've been about as good as it gets. Like historically, it's been amazing. They just don't quite have that gravitas of an all-time team usually does from a narrative perspective. And so in the moment, it's hard to see it, but I'm sure when we look back on it and Shea's hoisting his 4th finals MVP, we'll be like, oh yeah, that was obvious, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. And so therefore, if the Pacers were to win the series, it would be one of the great upsets in recent memory. And the irony of the Pacers is that they are similar to the Thunder in so many ways, and they're almost like a B+ version of the Thunder in some ways. I think the big difference is Indiana has this really beautiful, unique offense, and OKC can do a lot of what they do, but their defense is just like unbelievable. And it's one of the best perimeter defenses we've seen, at least in my time around the league. And Indiana's defense has been decent, but it doesn't compare to what Oklahoma is able to do.
So I guess the question is, like, what does Indiana have to do to even have a shot in this series, in your opinion?
Well, I mean, what's nice about them is that their defense isn't great, but their offense plays in transition in a way that few teams ever quite have pulled off. And so they're so good at running off of made baskets. And that's kind of what makes them so good, is that they'll give up a basket and then there's a touchdown to Pascal Siakam 0.2 seconds later. And so they can just try to run with OKC, and they can accept that they're probably not going to be able to stop OKC that well. And the key then is going to be not fouling Shea, not fouling, because when there's a foul, there's no transition. So if you're giving up a made basket, so be it. That's fine. They can run off of it. They just got to be really, really sure they're not committing shooting fouls, because that's almost like a turnover for them.
No doubt about it. Jared Weiss covers the NBA for The Athletic. He's with us right now on Jon and Jim. What do you make of the clutch gene that Tyrese Halliburton has had this postseason?
That's been kind of the big surprise from Indiana, because people that know Tyrese's game well, they know that he's got a high dribble. He doesn't have like real breakdown moves in the same way that somebody like Shea does. He doesn't have a signature shot necessarily. And so those are usually the components you're looking for to describe someone who's a clutch shot maker. That's why, like Jalen Brunson, we know pretty well his package. We know his ability to break guys down off the dribble. It's why he was clutch player of the year. Last year was De'Aaron Fox, very similar thing. Ali, just like, the shots he's been hitting in crunch time, they're crazy shots. Like, they're not even really his shots. He's been hitting insane shots. And that's what's made him so special. And so not the first time he's hit game winners in his career, but the way he's done it in this playoff run, like that one where he ran backwards and he buried that three, like it's just done some stuff that's just like unbelievable. And so it's been revelatory, but it's been consistent enough that I think we're going to see it continue in the finals.
It just, it just feels like, this is going to be another series where Shea ends up winning, the MVP, like he won the Western Conference Finals MVP. If the Thunder do win the NBA Finals, it's hard to envision the Thunder winning the NBA Finals and Shea not being the MVP. But when you look at his year, I mean, you got scoring title, MVP, first team All-NBA, Western Conference Final MVP. If they win the finals and he's the Finals MVP, I mean, this is an historic season from just Shea alone. Where would you put like this season, or how would you describe this season if he pulls this off and they win the finals and he wins the Finals MVP?
Well, his season encapsulates the Thunder themselves. They're perfect. Like the Thunder are a perfect team. And our idea of versatility, flexibility, skill, capability, they do everything. They do everything in a way that's really unique. And that's what his season has been. He has checked off every single box. And if you watch his game, he checks off every single box. He is as perfectly well-rounded a player as you can be in the NBA. And so I think what we'll remember this season for long-term is that this was a team of balance. And, Boston was like this last year. We're seeing this new era of parity where the teams that are great are the teams that just do everything at a very high level, and they don't have major weaknesses. And that's Shea's game. That's the Thunder team. And this could be the wave of the future, is getting away from these kind of monolithic juggernauts that rely on a superstar or two, and more teams that just fit a superstar into a holistic package.
Jared Weiss covers the NBA for The Athletic, with us right now on Jon and Jim. Who's the right hire for the Knicks after they make a move? Tom Thibodeau is out. What do you think is next for the Knicks?
That's a tough one because I get it. Like they want to make a change. In the NBA, coaches get fired because you can fire a coach at any time. You can't just trade a player or cut a player whenever you want. So the coach takes the brunt of it. I wouldn't blame him for their defensive issues as much as that. They got Jalen Brunson and Karl Towns out there, and they're both below average defenders. So that's what's going to happen. So at this point, you got two ways you can go. You can go with a tactician defensive guy that you think is going to somehow come up with a defense that works with these guys. And of course, they just got rid of Tibbs, who's the defense guy, right? Or you go for like a Indiana style high octane offense to get Jalen Brunson on the move more, get him off the ball more. You really lean into Towns' ability to shoot and penetrate from the perimeter. And you go for one of these new age, let's do some sort of revolutionary offense kind of thing. And so, right now, because they're late in the game on the coaching search, there's not a lot of candidates that make perfect sense for them. And that's the thing that I think is pretty hard to find is like, I'm not seeing a candidate out there that makes perfect sense for the Knicks. Johnny Bryant's a name I've heard thrown around. I also saw Stephen A. Smith was was in the odds for one of the lists there. So, honestly, maybe they should just give him a shot. Just have him yell at the team for, 2 hours a day. Who knows?
Honestly, please. So we don't have to listen to him. So we don't have to watch him on Inside the NBA.
Actually, that would be amazing to watch. Were you surprised? Were you surprised by the firing of Tibbs today?
I wasn't surprised because, I think a lot of us that were around that Knicks series knew that it was going to be coming if they didn't finish the season on a real high note. And that Pacers series was just not a high note. It was disappointing for them. The thing for them is maybe they're looking at this firing as they're seeing what Kenny Atkinson did in Cleveland this year. And I know obviously they lost in the second round. They were really hurt. I think they probably would have been as good as expected if Garland and Mobley weren't banged up. But Atkinson took the same roster and he completely transformed it overnight with a very different approach offensively. And I think that the Knicks are probably trying to do something similar where they want to bring in a coach with a completely different approach and see if that's able to provide the spark for this team, especially considering the team got Towns right before the season started. It's really hard to integrate a central character to your system right before training camp starts, considering your team, your coaching staff spends the offseason planning for the team that they have, and then you completely change it. That's a hard adjustment to make.
No doubt about it. Jared, we appreciate you taking time for us. Enjoy the NBA Finals, which get underway in Oklahoma City on Thursday night. Pacers and Thunder to kick off the 2025 Finals in Oklahoma. Appreciate you taking time for us in San Diego. Thanks for doing it, Jared.
Thanks, fellas. Take care.
Great stuff from Jared Weiss. I'm really looking forward to the series.
I just saw on television the Thunder are minus 700 to win this series, second largest odds to win a series or win a finals in the modern NBA history,
which is amazing because I saw the Pacers were plus 500, and that fits. Like plus, you're 5-1, where you would have to put. Look at it this way, right? You'd have to put $700 on the Thunder to win 100, where you'd have to put $100 on the Pacers to win 500. So significant favors. Basically, Vegas is telling you that Oklahoma City is going to win this series in 5 games.
5 or 6.
Yeah, right. I mean, a 7-1 favorite is basically saying, or 1-7. They're basically saying this thing should not be overly competitive.
And I don't think you're going to find anybody outside of Indiana, of course, to pick against the Thunder.
Right.
Because if you're picking against the Thunder, it doesn't make sense. Like, it doesn't add up. Like, why would you pick against the Thunder?
You heard my stat yesterday where the Thunder this year against the East, not that they're playing the entire East, but they're 29-1. Like, they're going to lose 4 times in 7 games after going 29-1 against the Eastern Conference?
No.
Unlikely.
No. And we might look back and say that the team that had the best chance to beat the Thunder was the Nuggets.
Yeah, definitely. 7-game series.
Yeah.
They're the only team to win at Oklahoma City this postseason.
Thanks to an Aaron Gordon miracle.
That's
free.
Exactly right.
Now Aaron Gordon was hurt in Game 7, and so it was much easier for the Thunder to just load up on defense against Jokic when you have a 50% at best Aaron Gordon out there
in Game 7.
So, well, I mean, we'll see. I like that Indiana has offensive firepower all around with Pascal Siakam. They have Miles Turner and Halliburton. They also have Nembhard. Who's the
Neesmith, the shooter.
The shooter.
I love Siakam's game.
I do too.
He's so well rounded,
and he's already won an NBA Finals against the Warriors back in 2019 with the Raptors,
and he was the MVP of the Eastern Conference Finals. He averaged 25 points per game.
Yeah, I think if you were to say, all right, give me a team that has at least a maybe puncher's chance, I guess Indiana would fit that mold, but what they're going to have to do is they're going to have to win a game like they've won a game in miracle
fashion.
They won in miracle fashion in Cleveland. They won in miracle fashion in New York. They're going to have a miracle win in this series to even have a shot.
They're going to need to overcome a 9-point deficit in the final 133 to win. Pull a rabbit out of a hat to steal a game.
Yep.
I completely agree. All right. Annie Heilbrunn from the UT will join us coming up at 3 p.m. On the other side, is Ethan Salas still regarded as a top prospect in baseball or not? We've got the latest data to share with you and data.
Oh, Datus.
Plus, we'll get your calls. 877-767-4760 if you want to weigh in. We're here until 6 p.m. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, so we know who's in the iHeartRadio Music Festival, Jim.
Oh, nice.
By the way, Annie Heilbrunn will join us at 3. She is not in the music festival this year, but she'll join us at 3. You can win your way in before you buy the tickets. We have live performances by Bryan Adams, Ed Sheeran, John Fogerty, Mariah Carey, Maroon 5, The Offspring, Tim McGraw, and more. September 19th and 20th, T-Mobile Arena in Vegas, 2 nights, 1 stage. Listen to win tickets before you can buy them at 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m., including airfare and hotel accommodations in Vegas, plus $1,000. And our exclusive Capital One card holder presale starts Wednesday, June 11th at 10 a.m. All right, so
nice.
Be on the listen for that. You sent me something earlier that did not surprise me at all. In fact, I was surprised that other prospect rankings still have Ethan Salas as highly ranked as he's been. You sent me a ranking that had Ethan Salas fall all the way back. At one point, maybe one of the top 2 or 3 prospects in the sport. I'm talking about overall, not in the organization, in the sport. You sent me something today where he checked in at number 72 overall. That's still a highly regarded player. If you're a top 100 prospect, that's a highly regarded player. But it's nothing like the rankings he was garnering, let's say, 1 year ago or 2 years ago, right?
He was a top
10,
20.
Yeah, somewhere in there. Yeah, definitely.
Prospect. But now, I mean, this is just
one of a series of rankings.
Yeah, it's one ranking from Just Baseball, and he's all the way down, like you said, 72nd.
72nd. Okay. Yep.
And he's injured.
Yep.
So that's going to hurt him. But I look at it as he still needs a lot of time. And to think that he's going to be ready by next year is wishful thinking at best. Now, positive, if you're looking at positive news, you know they have Ethan Salas on this list?
No, Leo DeVries.
Sorry, Leo DeVries.
Was he second?
He is third.
Okay.
So Roman Anthony, the guy that is in Boston that they're trying to bring up and move Durant
talked about him yesterday
for space, he's number 1. Bubba Chandler, the right-handed pitcher for the Pittsburgh Pirates, is number 2. And Leo DeVries is number 3 on this prospect ranking list for all of baseball.
I mean, that's a massive prospect ranking. Again, you still got to do it. But like DeVries has kept the ranking up where Salas just hasn't hit yet in the minor leagues. Therefore, that number is dropping. He's been hurt and he hasn't hit. You have to hit.
Oh, yeah.
To keep that ranking.
Right.
You know, you can't do it all based on your defense.
And he's got to stay healthy.
Yeah.
That's another thing, too, because he's injured right now.
Right.
But it just kind of illustrates and shows that Ethan Salas, maybe the time to get value out of him is slipping away, because the further he gets away from where he was, and he's been dropping ever since he made these lists, you're not going to have any value for him to trade away.
Right.
Because at one point, he was untouchable. Now, I don't think that's the case anymore.
Yeah, Kyler McDaniel still has Ethan Salas as the second highest ranked prospect in the Padres organization. It's not a top 100 list. He just put this out to start June, and he still has Salas behind DeVries.
Yeah.
And that still does make sense to me. Although I would not be surprised if come the end of the season, some of these younger pitchers, the Cash Mayfields of the world or the Boston Batemans of the world, someone surpasses Ethan Salas. But I think you're spot on. I think DeVries has done it on field. Therefore, his ranking remains high, where Salas has yet to really prove it on field. Therefore, his ranking is dropping. And I've seen this before. I've seen guys go from the number 1 prospect in the sport, or quote unquote untouchable, to the complete opposite. Gone from the rankings, a complete castaway, throwaway, barely spend time in the major leagues. I've seen it repeatedly over the course of my time covering Major League Baseball. Padres fans have seen it. Yankees fans have seen it. All organizations know what I'm talking about. So sometimes you hit on these players, other times you don't, and you go from prospect to suspect. It's cliche and stupid, but it's true. You go from prospect to a has-been in like 24 months. It's crazy. And I'm not saying that with Salas. I'm really not. I'm just saying it's a possibility with all players, and Ethan Salas is a player. Therefore, it's at least a possibility in the future if he doesn't produce.
Don't get me wrong. Dude's talented.
He's definitely talented. He's going to spend a lot of time in the major leagues.
Yeah.
I'd be shocked if he didn't.
But how long do you have to wait for him to pop? And is that going to happen soon? Likelihood,
No, I think it's probably years away.
So you're in a window. We've talked about this. You're in the window right now where you got to win. Can Ethan Salas help you win now? No. Is he going to help you win in 5 years?
Yeah, probably.
Probably.
Yeah.
But
can you wait?
That's the question.
Let's go to the phones here. Dave's been patient and on hold for the last 15 or 20 minutes during our conversation there with Jared Weiss. Annie Heilbrunn will join us coming up at 3 p.m. But Dave, you're back on with Jon and Jim. Thanks for calling in, man.
Well, once again, thanks, guys, for the opportunity. So let me get this straight. We don't know much about this guy coming out of Boston, other than the word from Boston is they want Dylan Cease. They need pitching, just like the Padres need pitching. And unless you're convinced you can't sign Dylan Cease, and at the same time, you want to then take a chance and risk that his spot can be filled by the often injured Yu Darvish, what are you gaining out of this? Is this guy coming in left field? Is he going to be that big of a difference maker for you when he's in a notable downward spiral this year? And, you got to look, what do the Red Sox need that the Padres have? They don't need Ethan Salas. They need pitching.
But they don't need pitching for today, right, Dave? What are they going to do with Dylan Cease? They're 29 and 33. Why do they want a rental?
Because they have got to have a top line second guy to go in behind their top dog there.
Crochet, yeah.
Yeah, Crochet. So, they're hurting at pitching. They're not doing that well. So the word out of Boston is they want Cease. So if you're willing to give up Cease for this unknown guy coming in from left field that none of us ever heard of. I've never heard of him, and I follow baseball.
Dave, did you
day.
see his year last year, Dave?
He had a nine
WAR last year. He was heard of. He was an all-star, and he won the All-Star Game MVP.
And this year he's in the tank.
He's not really in the tank this year. He's better than Dave. He is light years better than any Padres left fielder this year
he'd be better than Jurickson Profar's last year.
Right.
He basically was, I don't know, twice as effective offensively a year ago as Jurickson Profar, but like 50% better. That's how good his year was. Mm-hmm. What was Profar's WAR? And Dave, appreciate the call. I understand the sentiment. And by the way, if the Red Sox want Dylan Cease, you can't trade him. And they don't want Dylan Cease. It's very rare in baseball where you do like a starting pitcher for a starting left fielder. It's oftentimes you go get the buyer is buying something for now. The seller is getting prospects. That's how the sport basically operates. Now, the Red Sox may not be out of it at the deadline. Therefore, they might not trade Jarren Duran, but they're certainly not adding Dylan Cease from the San Diego Padres.
No.
I mean, that world involves the Padres going into a complete tailspin. For Dylan Cease to be moved, the Padres have their worst 2 months coming up that we've seen in a while.
No, the player or players that would be traded for Jarren Duran are not on the Padres active roster right now. They would be trading pitching prospects.
High ceiling. I mean, they'd probably be trading away serious talent.
Maybe
Jarren Duran.
Hey, Cash Mayfield, guy that probably would be talked a lot about if the Padres are seriously trying to make a push for a starting left fielder of Jarren Duran's talent.
Yeah, and the thing with the sport, it is so original. It's not the NFL where maybe there are people that aren't aware of Jarren Duran. But to your point, I mean, just go to Baseball Reference. When you have a 9 WAR, I don't care if Padres fans have heard of him or not. This guy was among the better hitters in baseball last year, 7th in baseball in WAR. So, it's not like a quarterback on the NFL that we watch every single weekend on Sunday Ticket. We don't all watch Red Sox games, but this guy has done it. Like he's a proven, effective, high-level hitter that isn't having the same year as last year, but last year's not long ago.
And yes, has he taken a step down from last year? Absolutely.
100%.
But you put those numbers that he has had this year for the Red Sox, even in a down year for him compared to his season last year, they are light years better numbers than anything any Padres left fielder has done this year. For
still better than Yuli Gurriel, even though he hasn't been in left field.
A million times better than Yuli Gurriel.
All right, Annie Heilbrunn from the UT joins us on the other side. Much more on the Padres getting ready for Game 2 tonight in San Francisco. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres and Giants, game 2 of their 4-game series tonight up in the Bay Area. Ryan Berger starts tonight for the Padres, 6:45 first pitch there. And NBA news of the day, the Knicks, they fired their head coach Tom Thibodeau after the Knicks made the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. How many times have we all said that was easy? Well, the Staples Easy button is back, and it's got everyone saying it again for custom prints, shipping services, even passport photos, plus quality products delivered next day to over 98% of the U.S. Staples stores. That was easy.
Previously on Jon and Jim.
Bergie's done the ball well, regardless of level, including here.
Ryan Berger is already Bergie. When you were gone, he had another one in there. I forget what. Like, so they called up this reliever Bradley, right?
Yeah.
And what are you going to do for a nickname? Is he called him Bradgie, even though it's like Bradley?
I have no clue,
man. He loves the nicknames.
He can't help himself.
Can't.
It's like ingrained in him that he has to have a nickname for every single person.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 2 of Jon and Jim, and we kick it off with our friend, dear friend of the show, Annie Heilbrunn from the Union Tribune. Why are you looking at me, Jim? I shared Annie. I apologize for doing this, but I don't think you care.
You shall address me as radio legend that you addressed
right.
to Annie.
I told Jim about our conversation, and he was fine with it. Listen,
no sarcasm at all in your text there about me, right? Nothing.
Should we group? Should I group chat it?
Zero sarcasm.
Yeah, zero sarcasm. Do you know Jim was on his anniversary? He was on his 1-year anniversary in Hawaii. Annie, did you realize?
I was just going to say how nice. You see, what prompted that conversation in my books was how nice of you to join us to regale us with your presence after a whole week of showing us beach photos, margarita photos.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm honestly just jealous, but yeah, I feel like, we're just back here plugging along,
Yeah, I'm gracing everybody with my presence. That's exactly what's happening.
Wait, real quick. I never told Jim this. You'll love this, Annie. So Jim tells me a story from his anniversary that he then told on air, which was basically he went on this helicopter tour, but he got stung by like a wasp and he ended up throwing up on the helicopter. But hear me out. That same day, this is a classic Instagram versus reality because I told my wife that, hey, Jim got stung and threw up. It was the worst thing ever. The same day, it's like, we had the time of our life. It was the most picturesque. And he puts this whole montage up with this video. Yeah, behind the scenes, he's like, I threw up and it was the worst thing ever.
Instagram versus reality.
Right?
He's got the cascade of waterfalls, but he doesn't have the picture of him puking,
No, I do have the picture of me after I puked, and my face was
in his beard. Annie,
it was white,
which is disgusting. I didn't even want to share that with you.
Ew, gross.
Wait, was it in front of other people, or did no one else hopefully see?
I was sitting next to this older woman's, and I threw up as she was sitting arm to arm next to me. Yeah, it was. Everybody saw. Annie. It wasn't pretty.
No.
Oh, it was still a great trip. It was still a great.
Yeah, after that, it was great. After that, Mrs. Lincoln, how's the play? All right, let's talk Padres. No easy transition. Annie Heilbrunn is with us. On one hand, Annie, you've got a Padres team that I think I heard last night, maybe Kevin wrote about it. They've scored 1 or fewer runs in 9 of their last 18 games. But on the other hand, they've won 7 of 10. They've won 3 straight series. They found a way last night to win 1-0. So what do you make of where they are right now with the offensive struggles, but playing well enough to be 10 games over 500?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is definitely concerning when you look at stats like they were number 1 in batting average and they were 4th best in runners in scoring position earlier this season. And then you start looking at, wait a second, they were worst in batting average over the last few weeks. They were among the league's worst with runners in scoring position. Just to see the difference in those between the beginning of the season and the last few weeks, I think is very jarring and could point to something more concerning. But at the same time, what I can't deny about them is they've been getting it done. They've been finding, the whole name of the game is finding ways to win. And if they're able to do it when they're in a slump and most of their team is slumping, then I think that also could mean that maybe this is something that is a positive. If they can do it in these situations, maybe when they do get out of that slump, assuming that they get out of it later this season, or sooner rather than later, then they could be really dominant once again, or for the second half of the season. So I don't know the answer to that. I think it's in the eye of the beholder. I think that there are some things that you definitely want to keep an eye on, as we like to say. But the fact is, like you said, they've won 7 of the last 10. They are 1 game behind the Dodgers. They are 10 games over 500. So there are certain things that are just like indisputable about the success that they have had or the position that they put themselves in. But yeah, I don't think that they'll be able to get it done for the entire season with the way that the offense has been going, especially when you consider that they might have some other pitching problems because of injuries. So hopefully this is just a slump and they can look back and say, hey, we still were able to win when we were down and out. And so look at us now when we're dominant, and maybe that's the way we'll see it go.
Speaking of slumps, Fernando Tatis Jr., one of the worst months, I think maybe the worst month of his career last month. The vibes with him seem very low. We've seen, out there on social media, sad Tatis. What would you attribute to his recent slump? Would it be one thing? Would it be a multitude of things? Like what would you attribute to his slump the most here?
Yeah, sad Toddy makes me sad. It's, but I will tell you this, like we were out, I was out watching batting practice the other day and, he was out there totally engaged, having fun with his teammates. I think this was on Saturday. They were having a home run derby at batting practice. And it was, they were doing all their normal drills. I don't want to make it sound like they were just trying to hit home runs, but they were just having some fun with it at the meantime. And he was completely engaged, having a great time, like totally there with his other teammates and participating in everything and not forcing it. It didn't look forced at all, So this was Friday or Saturday. It was over the weekend. So, it's not like he's walking around moping all the time at the, in the clubhouse or outside in the field. He certainly isn't. Like he's engaged. He's talking to his teammates. He's smiling. He's laughing. You can't deny, though, that there is something going on there. And I'm surprised at how much he's tinkered with his swing. Just because he talked about this past offseason working with his dad. And, he joked earlier in the season that his dad said, hey, you are a good hitter, but you're not a great hitter. And here's what can make you great. It's not chasing pitches. Let's fix your stance. And he didn't listen to his dad for a little bit. And then he listened and he started having great success with it. So, he has good with his dad, especially. I think his dad really does call him out in a good way. And so he has good ears around him. He's got Victor Rodriguez to go to. I don't know, because I'm not a professional hitter. I don't know if the tinkering is hurting him or helping him, or it's something he has to do to get out of this, or, maybe he does have to go back to one approach and just stick with it through thick and thin, but that's easier said than done. So I think you've got that going on at the plate. I personally don't know if there's anything going on with him in his personal life, and I don't want to speculate on that. But what I will say is that in interviews, he has mentioned baseball is tough. Life can be tough. Hard times can be happening. And so perhaps could there be something else happening with him? I don't know, and that's the thing, like, obviously what he wants to keep private, he should be able to keep private. But I think that he's doing his best. He's trying to get out of it. I don't think that he, I just think that it's hard when you had such a good start to the season and then you have that complete like turnaround where you just feel like you're failing day in and day out. Like I think it mentally messes with you, and he's going to have to figure out a way to get out of that, because certainly it's going to be a long season if he doesn't. But I believe he will. I believe he's going to get out of it.
He almost has to, and he's just too good of a player not to. So yeah. I completely agree with you. Annie Heilbrunn is with us right now on Jon and Jim. San Diego Sports 760. Is there one pitching injury that concerns you more than the other in terms of the importance of a Michael King or a Yu Darvish? I mean, they're both. You think about the roles they played last October. I mean, Darvish pitching in a Game 5, Michael King, what he did against the Braves. Does one concern you more than the other, or both concerning?
Yeah, I think they're both concerning. I thought Michael King the other day, listening to him, you probably listened to him and felt a little relieved. Hey, yep. He's in good spirits. He's having fun with the media. He talked about how his doctor said that it could take weeks or months, but he thinks it's more on the weak side. The only thing about those types of injuries is that they are very tricky, and you don't really know how your body's going to respond, because you've got to be in that rest phase. Even Mike Schultz said that when you look at the incremental progress that he's made, he emphasized the word incremental, because there's just only so much he can do while they continue to figure out what this nerve is doing and letting it rest or whatever they're doing with it. So that was concerning, just in the sense that anything could like slow that progress or delay that progress. But I think it's a good sign that Michael King feels good about it. Look, I thought Gavin Sheets was going to be out longer than he was, or he could be back. I didn't see the lineup today, but he obviously, came in the game late last night. He could be back in the lineup today. I thought Fernando Tatis Jr. would have been out longer when he got hit by that pitch about a month ago or whatnot. So it could be that Michael King, for all we know, is really going to be back sooner rather than later. And maybe it's just a matter of a few weeks, But I do think it's a little bit of a tricky situation. With Darvish, that is just a complete unknown. I think, this guy knows his body. He knows what he can do. What I worry about with Darvish is if he comes back, how much leash does he have? Like, we know so little about what's going on with him. I don't know if he comes back, is whatever has been occurring, does it have the ability to flare up again? Or when he comes back, if he's waiting this long until his body is really ready, does that mean that he's like good to go for the rest of the season? I don't know that, and they've been pretty good. I mean, just like last year with Waldron, when Joe and you were out last year, they've been pretty good, just kind of patching it up. They've hit on some of these younger pitchers. But again, the question is, are they going to be able to do that for the entirety of the season? And maybe they won't have to, right? Maybe you will be back before the All-Star break, and Michael too.
Are your antennas up with Darvish like mine are with him? Like I feel like there's something there that we just don't know with him.
Yeah, I think that when you just have that mileage on your body, and he works so hard and he's so good about taking care of his body. I mean, he is like training, nutrition, all the advanced technologies. He's in the clubhouse doing all of that, or in the training room. So, he's got his nutrition line, like he's very dialed in. So I don't think it's anything that he's not trying to fix. But I think when you just have that much mileage, he's, I want to say 39. I might have that wrong. So, but he's close to it. He's somewhere in the upper 30s there. And when you got that mileage on your arm, there could be, Jim, there could be something that, he is aware of, or the team is aware of, that they just don't want to aggravate. And look, if they can make it work like they did last year, and they've been doing so far pretty well this year, you might just kind of save him, like he might be saved for a playoff push, or used more sporadically. I think that what you can kind of read between the tea leaves on this one is, even before he was injured at the beginning of the season, even before the season started, like back in spring training when everything was fine, the team had already come out and said they were going to use him less. Like they were going to give him more time off between starts sometimes. They were going to maybe pull him out of the game a little earlier. He wouldn't go so deep, like just kind of preserve the arm a little bit more. So that was like without whatever's happened since then. And now with what's happened, whatever that is that an extension of what they were talking about in spring training, or is that something new? Like, I think kind of reading the tea leaves there, it's going to be a matter of kind of preserving as much as possible. But I don't know, at this point, would you guys be surprised to hear anything? I definitely wouldn't, no, I wouldn't be surprised. We're regarding him. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if I don't know, we heard it's going to be a long period of time, or I'm just not expecting him back anytime soon, even though we're led down this path that, he's going to throw a bullpen. And I don't know. I'm just expecting the worst and hoping for the best, I think, with you, Darvish.
Yeah, he was so good in the playoffs last year that, like, if you can, I mean, it could, like, this could turn out to be so smart for them. Like, not necessarily on purpose, although maybe give him a little credit for wanting to preserve the arm. But if they are able to make it work without you, Darvish, and he is good enough, and I think that that's like going to be the key, is like, where's his arm at by the time he comes back? But he was last year, then you get a fresh arm, maybe in September and heading into the playoffs, provided that your team has made it. So I don't know, it could be that that's the case, or it could be, oh no, we really need and miss you, Darvish, by like July, and I think that that's kind of going to be the question, is what side of the coin is this team on?
We're all going to stay tuned. I promise you that. And Andy, we always appreciate.
No, I'm just going to stop watching.
Whatever happens. Who cares? No, we do care a lot. That's why we talk about so much.
Just watch on like September 28th, and then you'll know, hey, do I want to keep going or
exactly. That's when I'm going to determine if I'm going to keep watching. September 28th. Should we watch in October?
It's not like we have nothing to talk about for the next couple of months, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Annie, appreciate it as always. Thank you so much for hopping on, Jon and Jim, and for the insight and the perspective. And we'll do it again soon. All right.
Hey, always appreciate you guys having me anytime. And don't let Jon puke on you, Jim. Wait, no, don't let Jim puke on you, Jon.
Exactly.
There you go. Yes.
Well said.
Yeah. Well,
Very
Jon
well
might
said.
actually puke on me.
I was feeling a little under the weather today, and I think Jim is rubbing off on me.
Yeah.
There you go. There you go.
Thanks, Annie. All right, Annie Heilbrunn from the UT. We can react on the other side. Plus, Jim does a victory lap. We'll explain why next. This is Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, tomorrow at 6, right? San Diego Sports 760 has STFC Midweek Live. You'll hear from Mikey Varis as well as interviews with players and coaches Find out the latest club and MLS information, SDFC Midweek Live, every Wednesday at 6 on your home for SDFC, San Diego Sports 760. So we do wrap-up shows, right? It got a little testy last night. I'm not going to lie. The wrap-up show last
John
night
was cursing like a sailor last night.
But it wasn't just that.
If you want to hear the unedited version of Jon and Jim,
You're going to need to come over to my house.
the
because
explicit version,
it's not up anymore.
you took it down.
I took that portion out because I felt bad because it wasn't intended to. The way it came across was more personal than I intended it to be, because I just saw a comment in the chat and I reacted to the comment. I had no idea who posted it. And it's one of our loyal viewers. It was a few people that posted something similar. And and the basic premise was, do you guys even watch the games? We're like, are you serious? Do we watch the games? I sit here during the day watching the games. I sit there at home with Kristen watching the games. You sit there with Aaron watching the games. I'm putting Jones to sleep. I'm on Gamecast, right? Well, we watch the games. And that's when I lost my mind for 30 seconds.
You are the softest person
But you got to
ever.
correct.
We didn't do anything that was
No,
controversial.
No, it wasn't
You
controversial.
just told someone to shut the F up. I mean, that's fine.
But I don't. But that's not me.
Who
That's more
cares?
you.
So why are you deleting it? You deleted great content.
I didn't delete the show.
You deleted that part of the show, and then you just ruined the video because people are gonna be like, "What happened there?"
It was just 30 seconds. You could still get the premise.
John, you know what? It's okay.
I'm soft.
I know you
admit.
are. You think that people are gonna clip that and ruin your name or something?
Correct. No, not that. I just don't want to be taken out of context. I didn't want the person that wrote the comment to feel as if I was trying to call them out specifically. That wasn't the point. It was the general idea of someone saying that because it was over some replay thing where I'm was he out or safe? And don't you aren't you watching? I'm I don't even remember. It was the second inning.
I understand, because there is a world somewhere in the multiverse
Where it gets posted.
where there's a headline somewhere that says,
Thank you.
San Diego State Aztecs broadcaster curses out fan on YouTube chat.
I don't need that. I'm already the guy that couldn't sleep for 2 days because they said Shohei Ohtani was the most overrated athlete in the history of America.
But I'm here to tell you, it's okay. You didn't cross a line.
Yeah, but this is the guy that 24 hours earlier had security in Las Vegas tell me I had to end a live stream because I was in a convention center and I couldn't do a live stream.
You didn't cross a line like the guy in Chicago that was literally
What happened in
threatening
Chicago?
somebody's children in life.
No, I would never do
You
that.
just told someone to shut up.
Right.
You can do that.
Yeah, that's exactly what
When
happened.
you use a couple explicit words.
Not to someone specifically, but I was just upset with the.
You can tell people to shut up. It's okay.
Yeah, basically it was dude.
It's okay. You tell me to shut up all the time.
I tell you to shut up all the time.
So you can tell one of our listeners to shut up if you
tell the
want.
people that listen
It's
and support
okay.
us to shut
If
up.
you're not crossing a line, I'll let you know if you cross the line. That was not crossing a line. Okay?
You're not a good person to let me know if I've crossed the line.
Why not?
You're a bad editor.
Why not?
Because you're willing to go to the nth degree.
I haven't crossed the line.
No, you really haven't. You're right. But for example, on YouTube, you curse like a sailor.
So,
Yeah, you're right. It's fine. It's kosher. But
I mean, sometimes that's how people talk.
no, I agree. But you know me.
I'm not threatening anybody.
No, of course not.
I'm
Nobody's
not
threatening.
using any derogatory words. I'm not, whatever else you want to consider crossing a line. I'm not doing that.
Of course not.
But if I'm telling somebody to shut up, throw a couple F-bombs in there, that's okay. Really get the point across.
The point of this wasn't what I was saying. My point was you can defend. Yesterday, you went down a path where you're like, Xander, I'm sorry. It isn't it. And we've gone down that path so many times talking about Xander Bogaerts. And then people were putting in the chat well, I forget what they said. What did they say basically?
It was
bad
a
take?
Cringy take.
Cringy take. His walk started the 4-run seventh inning. Okay, he walked. So that's going to validate his contract or prevent us from saying that this guy has been awful.
Well,
so I looked it up. His last 16 games.
You texted me the stat today, and I was like, wait, what?
I think I actually have it pulled up right now. His last 16 games, and yes, he's had a few hits here recently. That's true. But in his last 16 games, he has one extra base hit. It's a double. He has hit in those 16 games 241 with a 576 OPS. So the defense has fully rested on Xander Bogaerts until he fully resurrects his career and hits 8 home runs in a month. He had 8 home runs this season because he's hit 3.
It's a good question. I'm going to go with
slightly over.
With slightly over, just because of the law of averages, and
Yep.
he's out there every day.
Yep,
he's going to run into a couple.
So anyway,
Maybe.
I feel like you've been. I just wanted to defend your honor when you can criticize Xander Bogaerts.
Well, I'm not going to take a victory lap. No one wants to take a victory lap for
Xander not being good.
Yeah,
the victory lap's the wrong term.
Right. The whole point is for Xander to be good, and when you say, all the time, like, this guy's not good. This guy he's not carrying his weight. He's not producing. He's not performing. That should not be like praised, because it's turned into, and it is pretty close to definitive, it's the worst contract in the history of the Padres.
Like, somewhere Eric Hosmer is like opening a bottle of champagne.
Oh, the bottle's already been opened.
It's been open since the second half of last year.
Yeah, there's no victory lap to be taken here. It's actually pretty sad, and it sucks, because you wanted Xander to be good. You wanted Xander to be like he was in Boston, where he was beloved there, and help him win at a pretty high clip.
Yep.
2 World Series, All-Star. But it's not working here. This is not working here. Maybe he'll have one season where he's good, but the odds of that happening aren't very high, because he's getting older by the day, and the years for him to have a good season and impact this team in a winning fashion and help this team win kind of feels like it's gone now.
You don't think the next 8 years are going to be those bounce back years?
I think that his best season was his first year, and even that year wasn't a good year.
It was very soft, the numbers.
Yeah, I see people, oh, he had a good year. No, he did not have a good year.
In a good September.
I will argue that forever until I'm blue in the face that year for Xander Bogaerts was not a good season. He had one good month.
All right, we have a Padres lineup for Game 2 of the series that has just been released. Remember, I got criticized for this tease yesterday. I'll do it again. Is Gavin Sheets back in the starting lineup after appearing off the bench yesterday?
Let's change that up. Let's change up your tease, John, because you got criticized for yesterday. So
do they drop Xander Bogaerts in the lineup now that Gavin Sheets returns to the lineup?
No, so let's not continue to do the same tease.
But it's a good tease. He didn't start yesterday.
That's good tease. But
okay, new tease.
New tease. Give me a new tease. I'll tell you if it's good or not.
Is Ryan Berger making his first career start?
Tease.
Give me a tease.
Is Gavin Sheets in the lineup or not?
That was the tease I went with.
I know, but someone
top 5.
How about this? What did that say?
It's in the top 5.
It's in the top 5 teases. With Tatis struggling, did the Padres elect to move him down in the starting lineup tonight, finally? That's next on Jon and Jim, and the answer is no.
All right, this update's brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Giants game 2 of their 4-game series tonight up in the Bay. 6:45 first pitch. Ryan Bergie on the mound tonight for the Padres. Lineup is out. We'll talk about that coming up next. And NBA news of the day, the Knicks, they fired their head coach Tom Thibodeau after making the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. Good job, Knicks. How many times have we all said that was easy? Well, the Staples Easy button is back, and it's got everyone saying it again for custom prints, shipping services, even passport photos, plus quality products delivered next day to over 98% of the U.S. Staples. That was easy.
All right, so the tease wasn't overly effective. I mean, I'll check the ratings in 3 weeks and see
we
if
got
we
a
had
spike in ratings. Oh, my goodness.
My guess is we probably didn't. Do you want to go through this lineup? I mean, it's not surprising because
I'll guess. Because I haven't even
yeah,
looked.
okay, yeah. You want to just get it? I don't think it's
Tatis, Arise, Manny, Merrill,
Yeah.
Gavin, Sheets, Xander Bogaerts, Jake Cronenworth, Tyler Wade, Martin Maldonado.
boom.
Did I nail it?
You did, and
Wow, look at that lineup.
with Bergie, the
I
good
love
news
that
is
draw.
Sheets back. It's a great lineup. They have 5 left-handed batters in this lineup against whoever.
Landon Roop.
Yeah, the right-handed starter.
I mean,
presumably.
Roop.
So 5 left-handed batters in this lineup. Padres won 1-0 yesterday. Now they faced elite starting pitching. That is fair. Yesterday. And
What's the over/under for total runs scored in this series by both teams? Got to be pretty low.
I think 1.5. It's got to be
Like
really,
4.5.
I mean, I'm glad they put the runner. Mark Willard, who used to work here, who now works in the Bay Area, had a great tweet last night.
I saw that.
And he said, "Can they just put the runner at third in extras? Do we really need to put him at second?" And by the way, if this was back in the day, 5 years ago, before the pandemic, this game's going 15.
They still be playing right now.
Dude, I mean, you would have burned through the entirety of those teams.
It would have
To
been
scratch and
awful
run.
to watch, and no one would describe it as exciting and fun like it was described last night.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, would you consider? Is it fair to ask this question? Would you consider
Yes.
moving Tatis to get him going?
Now we talked about this a little either yesterday afternoon
Yeah,
or during the wrap-up
yeah.
show. If you're going to move him, you're not moving him past
Well,
2,
past like 2 or 3,
right?
2 or 3. Yeah.
And if you do move him, it's acknowledging his slump. So then he's even more in his head.
Potentially.
Yep.
That's why I ask. Like, is it? But at some point, when do you do something? Let's say this tailspin, the May that was the worst of his career, becomes also June.
Well, I
do you
think
sit him at some point.
If you go out and you do trade for, Jarren Duran's the hot name right now. He's the hot guy.
Yeah.
Shout out Marty.
Yeah.
So say you did get Jarren Duran, that's when you move him because he's a leadoff hitter. And now Luis Ariz is also a leadoff hitter, but Jarren Duran also has speed and he stole 30 bags last year. He's got double-digit steals this year. So that's when you would say, all right, we got this guy in to be our new leadoff hitter.
Mm-hmm.
Or you move Ariz back to leadoff. You move Tatis to second, how it was last year.
And again, is that going to do anything? No, not necessarily. But is it going to make it worse? No.
Also, do you buy into the whole left, right thing in the lineup, or do you just don't care?
I don't care. I would care more in the postseason where everything is magnified. With the 3-batter minimum, you like to at least have some variation because of the 3-batter minimum.
No more than 3 of the same.
Yeah, you'd never want 3. I'd go 2 lefties than a righty. I don't have a problem with that. Where other teams are like, the perfect lineup is left, right, left, right, left, right. I'm like, no, the perfect lineup is your best lineup.
Yep.
Not the bat, not if they bat from the left or right side. I could care less if I have 8 righties in my lineup if my lineup is a better lineup than a lineup with 4 lefties in it. That doesn't matter to me. So, yeah, I think that honestly, in large order or in large part, is overrated.
Well, if Tatis does not have a good June, then something is really wrong because June historically is his best month.
I saw that.
Or one of his best months in his career. So this is a month that you'll be watching Tatis very closely, because if he's still struggling this month and he puts numbers up even close to what he did last month, then we might have a bigger problem here on our hands. But if he puts together a June like, the back of his baseball card says that he has, then you're like, okay, everything's fine.
Can I just rip X for 1 second?
Do it.
So I just clicked on, I searched for Darnay, right? And Darnay Trip, NBC, to look for his tweets. And it's like, he hasn't posted yet. I'm like, wait, is something going on with Darnay's account? But then I go to Jim's account, and you haven't posted yet.
Did Darnay get blocked?
No, but you have the same thing. I'm assuming John Schaefer has the same thing. John Schaefer hasn't posted yet.
Darnay's posts aren't loading right now.
But either are yours.
Neither are mine?
No.
Well, then X/Twitter is probably broke.
Right. But that's my point. Yeah. Look, 760 hasn't posted. Nobody's posted on social media if you click on their accounts. Who do I blame?
A couple people.
We have an update on Jason Hayward, Jim.
Okay. Like I was waiting for that.
To fix it. You want left field
I didn't even know there was an update to be had on Jason Hayward, to be honest with you. I'm dead serious. I had no clue.
Well, you were in Hawaii.
That there's any update.
Well, he's not active.
I didn't even know that. I'm serious.
You're better off with him not active, actually.
I had no clue. I thought he was active.
No, he's not active.
Dude, what?
It's the second time he's been on the IL.
I had no clue.
This is from Kevin Acey. Hayward has started to take BP. This was on the field this past Saturday, and he's been catching fly balls and lightly throwing, but said he has yet to do either with quote-unquote full intensity. So if you're waiting on the return of Jason Hayward, you're going to have to wait a little longer.
I mean, one person waiting on the return of Jason Hayward. I'll wait.
Maybe his parents. I don't know.
Other than his parents. Other than immediate family members.
Is Jason even waiting for his return? Is Jason Hayward waiting for his return? Did we talk yesterday on Jon and Jim about the
Jason Hayward? This guy, why?
Why is he even here? Did we talk yesterday about the Darvish 6-pitch non-bullpen session? Was that here in the afternoon or last night?
That was last night.
He
threw in the bullpen, but not a bullpen.
Right. He threw in the bullpen 6 pitches. I love the detail. He threw it in the bullpen doesn't mean it's a bullpen.
No, it just means he's threw the ball. He just was like in the bullpen.
And also Schilt last night, post-game, or was it pregame? No, we heard pregame. Schilt yesterday pregame was like, I'm not sure if he's throwing a bullpen today or tomorrow. Yes, you are, Mike Schilt. You know everything. You know when Tyler Wade grounds into a 5-2 force out as opposed to like a 4-3 force out. You know everything. So you know when Darvish is throwing bullpens. And something fishy is going on with Darvish, to your point.
I think so. I don't want there to be anything fishy going on with Darvish. I want everything that's being reported and said from the organization about Darvish to be truthful. You don't really see this happen with pitchers where the injury, we have no clue really what it is in spring training. He's not pitching for about a month and a half. He has a rehab start, and then he immediately gets shut down and doesn't pitch again. Says that the injury in his elbow got aggravated, or but it wasn't hurting.
Right.
And I'm like, what?
Yeah, the whole thing is weird.
And then he's throwing in the bullpen, but not a bullpen. I don't know, dude. I really don't know. At this point, like I said, with any injury to any pitcher on this team, and really any player, because it's like when they're back, they're back. And they haven't had Darvish all year, so they're not really missing anything. It's not like Darvish pitched the first month of the season, went 5-0, and now he's been out for 2 months. Like, it's like you haven't had him this year. He will help your team if and when he returns, but you got to 10 games over 500 at this point of the year without him.
Are we at the point where you feel for Mike Schilt? Because he's being asked every day about a player that's been out for 3 months. So like today, when we hear Mike Schilt,
feel bad for Mike Schilt.
Like, as in, what are you supposed to say? Like, he's going to be asked today, is there an update on Darvish?
Well, it would be cool. It would be nice. And again, they'll never do it. Just if you tell the truth,
then you can actually.
Then you probably might be able to move on from this,
right?
Instead of every day trying to be coy with your answers.
I'm not sure.
Well,
Ask me afterwards.
Maybe ask me tomorrow.
No, it's not about feeling bad. It's just I'd probably snap at someone if I was asked about Darvish every day for 90 days. This is like, what am I supposed to say? I mean, nothing's changed since yesterday.
Or what you do is you say, He's going to throw a bullpen on X day. We'll give you an update on him on X day.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And then you just end it there. And if someone asks you again, you'll be like, hey, I said the other day, we're going to give you an update on next day.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, well, we'll see.
Right.
Like, I don't know.
All right, here's what I want to do. We're going to get to the wrap coming up at 4 p.m. We've kind of buried the lead, and that is that we have giveaways. We've got a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair that we'll give away in the 4 o'clock hour, and we have a 4-pack of tickets to see Dierks Bentley in the 5 o'clock hour. So we have, remember yesterday I said Brad Paisley tickets were given away? Well, it was Dierks Bentley.
Yeah, it was not Brad Paisley at all.
Right. So we have tickets to give away. What do you got, Jim?
I thought you were going to say that we buried the lead. I bought more cards and we're going to rip them on the other side.
And I told Jim earlier, we're going to rip some wax. I'm going to call it a Ripping Wax Wednesday, but it's not even Wednesday.
It's Tuesday.
Right. But anyway, we're going to open some cards on the other side that I randomly bought on like some random app. I have a problem. Shh. Hopefully Kristen's not listening.
Kristen, you hear that? John is buying packs and having them sent to work.
Dude, I will kill them.
It's all for the show, right?
All right.
It's all for the show.
It is for the show. It's all for
his personal game. It's for the show.
Don't go anywhere. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, hey guys, it is Jon and Jim again for our friends over at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place, and join them for the Players Party, Saturday, June 14th. That's coming up. Kick off summer in style with this annual event, $20 in free play for all from 6 a.m. to midnight, free food for all from 11 a.m. to 3 p.m. in Jive Lounge. It's an event you won't want to miss. Join us and start the summer off right.
Couple things. UFC 316 is this Saturday, June 7th at 7 p.m. And the following weekend is Father's Day brunch at Prime Cut Sunday, June 15th, 10:30 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Show Dad just how much he means to you with the decadent brunch at Prime Cut featuring lobster tails and hand-carved prime rib. Make his day extra special with a meal that he'll love.
By the way, catch the Padres over at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub. Also, NBA postseason, like the finals getting underway on Thursday, plus great food at Tony Gwynn Sports Pub, where fandom meets fantastic at the all-new Jamul Casino Resort, the Players Place. All right, AM radio keeps vital voices accessible. Congress can secure its future, but we need your help. Text AM to 52886 now to support keeping AM radio in cars. Tell your member of Congress to pass legislation now and keep AM radio in cars. Standard message and data rates apply. This is kind of the prime window where Kristen would be driving.
Well, we already
up Jones.
Cat's out of the bag.
Now, if you're my wife,
I'm your wife. All right.
Well, two things. Okay, before we get to opening some cards, sure, I had shipped to the office. That is true. That's a true statement.
I made him do it, Kristen.
Yeah, exactly. It's for the show.
It's for the show.
It's
for
my
the show
fault. Because we're ripping wax.
Yeah, ripping wax, bro.
Slide for opening cards,
yeah.
Which I didn't know until like 3 weeks ago. But here's my question. So I'm turning 45 later in the week, over the weekend. Is it appropriate for a 45-year-old to wear ripped jeans? Because Jim ripped into, I couldn't believe his reaction. He saw my jeans, which I've worn a number of times over the years. I haven't worn them in like a year, but these are just older jeans. They're not overly old, but probably 5 years old. And they have just naturally developed a rip over the left knee.
The rip,
I didn't buy them.
The rip on your jean, it's on your left leg.
Yeah. Like
it
like
looks perfect. Like
it's not perfect.
If you were to ask me,
it's not.
Do those look like they were ripped on purpose, or they ripped accidentally? I would say they look like they ripped on purpose.
I will like show you the label on these things. This is just like
I know. Yeah. I'm just saying, like the look of it looks like a perfect.
It's just
ripped
like
jean.
It's the area where like it bends because it's your knee, and it just eventually.
Why do you still have those pants? Is the question.
I mean, I work in radio.
Okay, it's great.
If I was going to go to a presidential town hall this evening at the White House.
But why
on AM radio and keeping it on the air?
Yes, keep us on the radio, everybody.
Then I would have worn something different.
But my question would be like, why are you wearing those pants today? Are your other pants dirty?
Potentially. Probably, yeah.
How many pairs of pants do you own?
A number.
Do you know?
Not off the top of my head. I mean, I own slacks like you're wearing.
Yeah.
I own jeans. Mm-hmm. I own pants.
So what shows you? What made you wear those?
I took a shower, as I always do, like 1 PM. It used to be 2.
Yeah, I know.
Until they moved our show.
Right.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah.
And then I had like 9 minutes. I was getting ready, and I'm like, I grabbed them and then put them on. Actually, and I put them on, and I came to work. I expected no reaction from anyone. And I've gotten no reaction from anyone other than you. But you ended up putting it on Twitter.
Mr. Fashion Icon.
And that's probably why Twitter is down.
Probably everyone's like, oh, John's wearing ripped skinny jeans.
Brent is going to say it's appropriate if you didn't buy them ripped.
Exactly. See, I didn't have to say it. Yeah, I'm Team John. As long as he didn't go to the store and pay $90 for them pre-ripped, it's fine. I have lots of jeans that have holes in them. As long as the hole isn't in like the butt area or the crotch area, I won't throw them away because they're comfortable.
Crotch area.
Well, you know what I mean. Ones that will like get you arrested. Because they're comfortable, and it takes like forever for them to get like that natural fade to where you can't even buy them like that. To where I won't throw them away.
Manny McNuggets in the chat says, "Why is Jim questioning you, John, when he wears the same hat every day?"
Right. You always wear this melon hat. I wear this hat a lot
because it's a nice hat.
I switch it.
It doesn't have like a rip in it. I'm just giving you crap, dude.
I know you are.
I'm not. I saw it and I was like, wait, what? Because it does look like it's a perfectly ripped part of your jean that was done on purpose. Did you lose your cards?
No, but I'm just looking at like the jeans. No, I mean it looks like it was jeans that was purchased this way.
A little bit.
It's not.
A little bit.
I'm showing YouTube.
A little bit.
It's just ripped at the knee.
All right. Well, okay.
I will. Here, you want to go to Nordstrom's in the UTC mall with me and track the purchase like 2018?
No, I don't care.
It might have been online because I probably tried them on there, and then Chris is like the $200 I can get them for $80. And that's exactly what probably happened.
Probably. Are you going to rip some wax or not?
Yeah. So, okay. Full disclosure.
Explain to your wife who's probably listening right now what you have done.
No, she knows. I've gotten my son. What is this, by the way? The Indiana OKC NBA finals where there aren't direct flights from Indianapolis to Oklahoma City. The Pacers can't even get to Oklahoma City because of severe weather. Their plane's been diverted to Tulsa before the NBA Finals. But my wife is aware. My son is super into this now because I'm like,
mission accomplished.
Yeah, exactly. So I feel like it's been a job well done. Plus, getting into cards is better than like getting into drugs.
Keep saying that, John.
See, the only way your holy jeans would be bad is if you're spending all of your money on cards and you can't buy new jeans.
I do like that.
Then that would be an issue.
Anyway, I ended up buying 5 packs, of course, on like flash sale.
And you've pulled nothing, by the way.
I opened 3 of them before the show, and there was nothing in these things.
Nothing. So these are from 2021, 2022?
This is the iconic 2021-2022 Chronicles set. Now, had I ever heard of Chronicles before today? I hadn't.
Who won the Rookie of the Year in 2021?
2022.
Oh, 2022.
Is this Cade Cunningham's class?
Rookie of the Year NBA.
Is this
Hold
Cade
on.
Cunningham?
Don't rip that yet.
Okay.
Hold on. No, that was No, sorry. 2021 was...
It's 2022.
Why is it 2021, 2022... NBA Rookie of the Year?
That should come up right away.
Come on, AI.
Scotty Barnes.
Okay, Scotty Barnes.
I love how that took you forever.
I know. So what you're looking for is a
class wasn't great.
Yeah, not great. What you're looking for is a Scotty Barnes rookie card.
Right. This is the year before Paolo.
Correct.
Or Paulo, or however you say his name.
Paolo Banchero.
Right.
All right.
What about, is this Cade Cunningham's rookie year?
Is he on the cover?
I think he is.
Okay, he's on the cover.
So, okay, but here's the thing. You could pull, slang term for like,
you can pull it.
Yeah. You could pull like a Steph Curry like autograph. I mean, maybe. I don't know if that's true or
Any
not.
autos in there?
There could be something in here.
Okay. What do we got?
Speaking of Scotty Barnes. Rookie of the year. First
rookie
card
Scotty Barnes.
There we go. Put this thing in a, I don't even know, Fort Knox.
Oh my goodness.
Okay.
Put a sleeve on it, bro.
Rookie card Scotty Barnes.
You don't have, okay.
I'm not coming to work tomorrow.
No, you're not.
Okay.
Buy new jeans with that card.
Have you ever heard of this player?
Oh, who's it?
LeBron James.
Oh, a LeBron James number 6 card.
This is like, is this his rookie year? 21?
Let me see that.
Was 21 his first year? I forget.
Wearing number 6.
Oh, LeBron's teammate, Luka.
With the greatest pack ever.
This pack is ridiculous.
All right, so you got a LeBron James.
And this is a Chronicles Luka.
Luminous?
I don't know.
Card number 259.
This is card number 2 for Luka, but I don't think it's not a numbered card if you want to look at it.
Okay.
We've also gotten Jalen Green of the Rockets.
That's a good one. That's a rookie year.
Is that good? Is that his rookie year?
Yeah.
Jalen Suggs Chronicles.
Oh, rookie Jalen Suggs.
It's just all rookies, maybe.
Did you pull a God pack?
Right, like the best. Brandon Boston Jr. Rookies and Stars. Never heard of him.
Okay.
And look at this. LaMelo.
Oh, a LaMelo refractor.
LaMelo refractor.
That's actually a pretty good card.
Not numbered. Okay, so that was a decent pack.
Number 65, Jalen Green.
Yeah.
You got a number 46, Jalen Suggs Chronicle card. Number 2, Luka Doncic card. This LeBron James card's nice.
Are we putting this Scotty Barnes in a penny sleeve? Rookie of the year?
Let me see.
I don't think it's going to.
What we got? What we got? Absolute memorabilia.
Where's the memorabilia?
Rookie card. Scotty Barnes, the rookie of the year, number 225. Sure.
Maybe. Okay.
Now, LaMelo. That's a good one.
LaMelo, yeah. Refractor or whatever. Parallel. Shiny card. All right. Now the last pack.
If Coastal Card Collectors in the chat right now, let us know if we got any.
Yeah.
And if anybody's watching us on YouTube.
Have we hit anything? Wait a second.
Oh, what did you get? What'd you pull?
Nothing like pulling card 666.
Oh, death.
Cade Cunningham.
Oh.
And it's a parallel or I don't know what it is, but it's his rookie card. This is like the greatest
to see this.
Pulls of the year.
Wow.
Okay.
Cade Cunningham. Okay.
Maybe these are all rookies, by the way, Jim. No, LeBron's not a rookie.
LeBron's not a rookie.
It wasn't this rookie year. Bones Highland.
Who?
Yeah, exactly. Trendon Watford.
Okay.
The Blazers.
All right.
We also have Day'Ron Sharp, Panini Threads.
Okay.
Yeah, this isn't as good of a pack.
No, it's
Jalen Johnson of the Hawks.
Okay.
And then Jeremiah Robinson Earl OKC.
Oh.
Is he still with him and does he play?
I don't know.
Rookie card. parallel or shiny or something. Okay, so I would say that these 2 packs probably combined to be worth maybe $1.
Probably
Something like that.
I mean, it's cool that you got a LeBron card here, number 6.
It's not bad. But again, you guys can get into this too. If you want to throw money away, you can join me by buying packs. It's been fun. And my son's been getting into it. He's 6.
If you want to buy packs and waste money, do it. Be like John.
Exactly. All right, we will get to the wrap. Biggest sports questions of the day. I don't even know if they are the biggest sports questions of the day, but we'll get to the wrap on the other side. Also, in the 4 o'clock hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. We'll hear from Mike Schill before game 2 of the series tonight in San Francisco as well. This is Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This update's brought to you by Paint Care. Padres and Giants, game 2 of their 4-game series tonight up in the Bay. 6:45 first pitch. Ryan Bergert will make the start tonight for the Padres. And NBA news of the day, the Knicks fired their head coach, Tom Thibodeau, after he took the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. They know that leftover paint in your garage is clutter. Make more room for your collections of trading cards, John, and comics. Take the leftover paint to a Paint Care drop-off site. Make more room in your garage and help the planet. Learn more at paintcare.org.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
This lineup, it's formidable, at least at the top. They've scored 1 or fewer runs in 9 of their last 18 games. That's the bad news. The good news is because they're pitching and because they're bullpen like yesterday, I mean, they're winning. They're 7-3 now in their last 10 games.
That's really, at the end of the day, all that matters.
Yep.
Like, if every win of the 7 wins they had were all 1-0, yeah, it would be a little weird and concerning. And I don't know if that's ever happened in baseball before, but those are all wins. They go in the win column and they count all the same.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego and Southern California, what's going on? This is hour 3 of Jon and Jim. Someone's going to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair this hour. Someone next hour is going to come away with a 4-pack of tickets to see Dierks Bentley coming up June 19th at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. If you missed friend of the show, Annie Heilbrunn, you'll hear our conversation with Annie coming up at 5 p.m. We'll hear from Mike Schilt still ahead. Padres and Giants are getting ready for game 2 of their 4-game series here tonight.
Will more than 1 run be scored tonight? Total.
Well, I know at least a run will be scored in this game.
Yes, at least
a lot
one
like last night.
Yeah, you can't have a game end 0-0.
What do you? Okay, let's. How many runs do you think are scored overall in this game? I'll say 4.
I'm gonna say 5.
Yeah, I agree. I could be more than 4. I might have shot low there. What's the total on this game? Probably 7.5, 8.5. Last night was 7.5, and there was 1 run scored.
Why?
Tonight's
7.5 as well.
7.5, because that's just your standard baseball game, like 4-3. It's 7 runs.
Giants are a -155 favorite.
They were favored last night, -180 last night, but the Padres won that game. So yeah, I'll say 4.5 is my total.
You know, the Giants have scored more runs this year than the Padres, albeit they've played 2 more games than the Padres.
How is that possible?
But they have scored more runs than the Padres this season.
That really does surprise me,
because the Giants are a awful watch.
They are going through it, specifically on offense.
Their lineup worse than paint drying.
Yeah, their lineup is so bad.
Yeah,
and you made the point of like, yeah, I mean, if you bring in Willie Adames, you got to hit. If you don't hit, and you have the pieces around, they don't have pieces around him.
He's potentially their Xander Bogaerts,
right? Like it's just awful.
Like coming off of an all-star year where he was amazing for the Brewers. Same thing with Bogey. Coming off an amazing year with the Red Sox, Sox, hitting over 300 and 800 OPS. And then he just comes, signs a big contract, and it just turns into just blah. Now, Xander's contract is worse than Adames's, way worse. Right. But still, he could be their Xander. And he's not played great on defense this year either.
I mean, JD's third makes the interesting point of Jim. We're an awful watch right now, too. I mean, not
at least the Padres are winning. I mean, they're 7-3 in the last 10.
Yeah, and I don't watch the games like, oh, this sucks. Jackson Merrill's up.
Right.
Or this is terrible. Here's Manny. Or here's Tati. I'm excited to watch Fernando Tatis Jr. I truly believe Fernando Tatis Jr. is always a game away from a special game. Unfortunately, he doesn't look like that player right now. But I'm not watching the Padres and thinking, oh, Luis Ariz can't come through or Gavin Sheets can't come through. I think they have a very good lineup that is absolutely slumped.
I would way
take the Padres lineup.
Much rather watch the Padres lineup than the Giants.
It's not close.
No.
It's not close from a lineup perspective. Both teams need upgrades offensively, and we've talked about that. That's why I've been talking about Jarren Duran and Luis Robert Jr. potentially as trade possibilities for the Padres at some point before the deadline. All right, so we'll give away those tickets to the San Diego County Fair coming up later this hour. You'll hear from Annie Heilbrunn at 5. We'll hear from Mike Schilt at some point within the hour, but right now, let's get to this.
It's time for the wrap. Presented by Sombrero Mexican Food. Check out their website at sombreromex.com.
Did the Knicks make a mistake by firing Tom Thibodeau?
I think mistake right now is, it's hard to say, because what if they end up going to the finals next year? Then it's going to be viewed as absolutely the right decision to fire Tom Thibodeau. The question is, I think who's going to replace Tom Thibodeau? Who should replace Tom? Are they just going to go the retread route and go Mike Malone? I know it's a name thrown out there because he just got fired by the Denver Nuggets. Are they going to go an unknown? Do you think that's really going to work in New York? After you just made the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in 25 years.
Do you know
26 years.
You know the sexy name that everyone's throwing out?
Dan Hurley or Jay Wright.
Yeah. There's a reason Jay Wright's on television making $5 million a year, not coaching.
Yeah.
Because it's a better, I think he'd prefer to do it at this point in his career. I'm with you. I think Tom Thibodeau did a pretty good job. Now, he's not my favorite coach. I don't love the way he interacts with the media. They won playoff series in 3 consecutive years. They'd won 1 playoff series in the 20 years before him. So he's like that classic example of like the coach that elevates them, but is there a coach that takes them to the next level? And I don't think there really is. Now, is there a path next year, Jim, because of Boston's situation with Tatum? Like, is there that path where there's no clear cut? If Giannis leaves the East, if Indiana, they've lightning in a bottle this thing. Is there a path for the next year because of the Boston situation and because of just the state of the Eastern Conference?
Then you get better.
Yeah.
Cat is horrendous on defense, excuse me. Their offense is Jalen Brunson, and that's like it. They need to get deeper. They need to get better defensively. They need to have another scorer alongside Jalen Brunson that's not Cat, because right now the offense is just Jalen, go make something happen.
Right. All right, next question.
Apple is reportedly leading the way to claim ESPN's Major League Baseball package. Would you guys like that?
I would love that.
I would love that too. Now, the only thing I wouldn't love is the fact that I would need to get another subscription and pay for it. It's not on cable. It's not like an NBC thing or whatnot. But for baseball to go to Apple, I mean, it makes sense because they're already doing Friday night Apple games right now.
This wouldn't reportedly be the full ESPN package. Some of it would go to NBC for Sunday nights because they're going to have some Sunday NBA. They have Saturday night like Big Ten.
Yep.
They could throw some Sunday MLB in there. Okay, that works. But remember, ESPN also has a package of Major League Baseball games during the week, also on like opening day, July 4th, other holidays, wildcard games. Maybe some of the wildcard games could go to Apple TV. The thing I like about Apple, I'm with you. I don't necessarily want to pay for it, but then again, we all pay for cable. We're paying for something. What I like about Apple is it's a great presentation. I think it's good for the sport of baseball. I think it's modernized baseball. I like their usage of statistics. I like the 4K cameras. I like the look and feel. So I'm a fan of more baseball on Apple TV. I'm a fan of more sports, truthfully, on Apple TV. I like Apple TV a lot in terms of presentation.
Presentation is great. Like watching MLS on Apple TV.
They do a nice job, right?
One of my favorite parts is when I watch SDFC game.
Can't you put the audio on?
I just put Adrian and Darren on.
Yeah, so you could take the audio from San Diego Sports 760 on MLS Season Pass. That's awesome.
It's a great feature to do. I've done it for almost every match that I've watched on television. Is I put Adrian, I put Darren on the feed while I'm watching the game on Apple TV.
Yeah, that's a great point. I agree with you. Next question.
Will Travis Hunter be a better defensive back or wide receiver?
Did you see the play he made today?
Yeah, I did. With the interception?
Like he was, the interception. He over his head, bounced, like hit the ball in the air, turned around, and then caught it as he's on his way to the ground.
Crazy athlete.
It was an insane play. But the question of will he be a better DB or wide receiver? I think to start, he's going to be a better DB. I think wide receiver. I don't know. I think that his just talent alone could do some things on offense, but I think right now, I think he's going to be a better DB than a wide receiver.
You know what? I kind of agree with you. I agree with you. Like his size to me could be an issue on both sides of the football. But I feel
small
like
corners.
I know that's what I was gonna say. I feel like he's more likely to have success as a small corner than he is necessarily to like take over the league by storm as a wide receiver at his size. Is that fair to say?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, what does he have a better chance of being? A top 5 corner or a top 5 receiver?
We know where you make the money. It says a wide receiver.
Exactly.
So he's probably going to want to eventually
be a top 5 receiver.
But I think where he can make the most impact right now, probably on defense.
where's he going to stay healthy?
Yeah, it's
missed a lot of time 2 years ago.
Yeah.
If he's playing these snaps both ways, potentially that leads to more injury risk. But I think he's going to be a very good player. The question is how good of a player, and will he actually impact the game? On
his
both sides
instincts
of the
and
ball?
his ball skills are very good,
elite. Yeah,
but still the size thing. And is he a good route runner? You know, like I don't know.
We don't know yet.
There's some videos out there of him running routes in practice, and you're like, that doesn't look clean,
right?
So that's the big question.
Yeah.
I almost wonder if it's going to take him going over the middle once and just getting popped. And then they might be like, I think we're going to lean a little more on the DB part.
Right. Some of that's been taken out of the game, but that's a good point. Next question.
Who do you guys think would be a better pickup? Luis Robert Jr. or Jaron Duran?
To me, it'd be Jaron Duran. Controllable, the money, it fits. He's a better player than Luis Robert Jr. The only thing is it'd probably cost you more to get Duran.
Mm-hmm.
I think Duran's a plug and play guy right away that you're not worried about too much. Like, yeah, he has fallen off from his numbers last year, but I think that he would fit the Padres lineup and what they need better than Luis Robert Jr.
Yeah, I completely agree. I mean, I think if I was just choosing a player, if I had two players in front of me and one could join the Padres, if I didn't have to consider all the, the dollars and the prospects, the capital, I would take Jaron Duran.
Yeah.
He's under control for each of the next 3 years after this year. And a year ago, put together that 9-war season where Robert is 2 years removed from his breakout year and is under control for 2 more seasons after this year.
And we've already talked about, the hypothetical lineup. Everyone loves to throw hypothetical lineups out there. Jaron Duran,
followed by,
you could basically just go Jaron Duran at the top, followed by Tatis, Arise, move everybody down.
Yeah.
So you Duran, Tatis, Arise, Manny, Merrill, Sheets, Bogarts, Cronenworth, and your catcher.
You all of a sudden have they already have, again, a great top half of their lineup, but that makes it a really deep lineup.
It just changes the whole dynamic of the lineup when you can just add that guy. And maybe say the same thing about Luis Robert Jr., but with him, you're gonna say, can he hit over 200 for you? Yeah. And can he give some pop? Because right now his numbers look, they're awful, John.
You can't hit 180 with 5 home runs. You get 180 with 15 home runs. That's still not ideal, but 180 with 5 home runs.
And you're asking to get an upgrade at left field. That's not really like a huge upgrade there at left field. Jaron Duran, even though he's having a down year compared to his last year, it still is an upgrade in every single statistical category in left field. He's hitting around 260, right? He's going to hit double-digit home runs for you. He's got, I think, 4 right now.
Tons of triples because he runs so well.
His speed is elite. He's going to get you 25 to 30 stolen bases. He's going to get you 30 doubles, 10 triples. His OPS isn't great. It's like low 700s right now, but speed guy can, his power numbers are going to be predicated on his doubles and triples, not so much his home runs. And he'll play for you every day.
All right. Speaking of left field for the Padres, what did Jeff Passan have to say about Luis Robert Jr. and why he links him as an upgrade for the Padres between now and the deadline? We'll share what Jeff Passan wrote today regarding Luis Robert Jr. and the Padres. Plus, we'll hear from Mike Schilt, plus Annie Heilbrunn from the UT. If you missed our conversation, you'll hear it coming up at 5 p.m. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, so maxed out on credit cards or struggling with high interest debt, you could pay it all off in days with Loan Pronto's Rapid Equity Loan. Hey guys, it is Schaefer. Get cash out now without touching your low rate first mortgage. No appraisals, no waiting, no BS. The rapid equity loan program at Loan Pronto is truly amazing. One Loan Pronto client recently got $300,000 approved in under 24 hours. They paid off debt, renovated their kitchen, and cut their monthly expenses by $1,800. A huge turnaround. Loan Pronto, instant approvals, low rates, no hard credit pull up front. Listen, your home equity is yours. Use it. Get cash to consolidate your debt down to one easy low monthly payment. Call Loan Pronto now for a free instant appraisal for your home and see how much cash you can get today. Call now to start the conversation. Here's the number, 619-207-4336 or loanpronto.com. That's 619-207-4336. Get debt relief now at loanpronto.com. Equal housing lender, NMLS 1661781. On approved credit, NMLSconsumeraccess.org. A reminder, the all-new iHeartRadio app. You can listen to Jon and Jim on the app, streaming live from 2 to 6 weekdays. You can listen back by putting Jon and Jim in your presets. Listen back to any hour or interview. All there for you on the all-new iHeartRadio app. We'll hear from Annie Heilbrunn at 5 p.m. We'll hear from Mike Schilt up in Northern California, getting ready for Giants and Padres. His pregame comments, we'll bring those to you once we have them at some point between now and 6 p.m. All right, Jim.
John.
All right. This is what Jeff Passan wrote about Luis Robert and the Padres. All right.
You give it to me.
Okay. He writes this. And if we said this, people would be like, why are you so critical? He writes this. Left field for the Padres has been a disaster. Their 191 batting average is the worst in the big leagues, as is their 245 on base percentage. They've been mediocre in left and on the base paths. Turning to Robert, who's hitting blah, 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 178,
blah, 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 blah,
would essentially be replicating that production. So I trade for him because surely somewhere inside the 6'2", 225-pound body lurks the player who 2 years ago hit 38 homers. Because take him out of center and his defense is suddenly a plus in left because he has half as many steals himself as the Padres do as a team. He has 21 steals this year.
He does.
21. He goes on to say Robert's salary isn't cheap, $15 million. And his options for the next 2 seasons aren't either at $20 million apiece. But Padres GM AJ Preller didn't get to this point by playing it safe. With Michael King and Dylan Cease both set to hit free agency, this is the year to send it. I don't know what that means, like not play
Go
safe.
Full send, yeah.
Go in. And acquiring Robert would personify that. A very Jeff Passan word, personify. Not that big, but
they could do better.
Better than Robert.
I think so.
Like Durant.
I think the money to me and the fact that he's just, you look at those numbers and those numbers are awful. Like if he had a 655 OPS, 660 OPS, even close to 700 OPS, and he wasn't hitting 177, like if he was hitting 220 with like 8 home runs and he had a 690 OPS,
right?
21.
You could be sold.
You could sway me.
Mm-hmm.
The numbers he has there
are so bad.
It's like you're replacing the awful numbers the Padres left fielders have had this year with also awful numbers that Luis Robert Jr. has had this year.
Mm-hmm.
That's a risky move because you're hoping that he flips that switch and turns into the guy he was 2 years ago. By the way, if you look at his career numbers, that's the outlier. That season is not the real Luis Robert Jr. the real Luis Robert Jr. is closer to the version of the player this year than it is 2 years ago.
Yeah, that's very possible. I buy your argument that you're making. I mean, he's still a young player. He's 27. He'll turn 28 in August. But you're right. I mean, a good way of looking at his offensive futility this year is something called OPS plus, and it's what your OPS is compared to the league. 100 is major league average OPS plus. His is 58. What that means is he's 42% less productive of a hitter than the average hitter. He's been an awful hitter this year. In his career, by the way, his OPS plus isn't great. It's 111, 11% better than an average hitter. Are you paying an average hitter $20 million each of the next 2 years? If you're AJ Preller,
No, I'm not.
it's a lot of money plus capital. He may not come as expensive as Duran, but he will not come cheap. He's got 2 years of control. There's no way the White Sox are just parting ways just to save money. They would want at least a real return. Maybe not something crazy, but they would want a real return for the player.
Yeah, I think he was just pissed people off.
Yeah, probably. He'd get here, people would be excited, and then like, wait, this is the player we bought or traded for?
Yeah, if you're adding Luis Robert Jr. to be like a complementary piece to your team, okay.
Right.
But you're adding him to be an everyday left fielder and give you a sizable upgrade from what you've had in left field this year, which is essentially the same numbers as what Luis Robert Jr. has right now.
Right.
Like that's not, it's not what you're looking to do. I mean, you're looking to upgrade the position. Is Luis Robert Jr. upgrading the position? It's a nice name because of his year a couple years ago. But
dude, the middle ground is the player you've referenced for 4 weeks. Mike Farron referenced it when you were in Hawaii. He mentioned among a series of names, Taylor Ward. He's not Jarren Duran. Duran's better. He's not Luis Robert Jr., as in he's had a better year. He's under control for the next year or two. He's not lighting the world on fire, but he's hit 16 home runs, which means his 760 OPS is going to play. So, like, again, I don't think he's Duran in terms of overall skill set, and I think he's way better than where Robert is right now. So you're kind of meeting someone in the middle. It's probably somewhat cost effective. He's only making $7.8 million this year. That's somewhat cost effective, and what you're going to have to trade to get him is probably something reasonable.
he's a guy that will definitely be a name on the trade market.
Yep.
That time might have passed as far as getting him for not a lot, just because
the home run total
of the numbers he's put up, and he's going to be potentially a hot commodity. Like a guy that has, 16 home runs right now, on pace for over 30.
Yep, that's right.
That, yeah, absolutely. I would have tried to pull the trigger before then, because right now you're buying. If you got Taylor Ward, you're buying a guy or trading for a guy that you might have missed out on all the production, like all the good production he's going to give you.
Mm-hmm.
So he is a guy, definitely. I think, like, strike now, go out and see if you can get him now. Don't wait. And that's what Preller, I think, is trying to do, as Kevin has reported, is that they've been looking for a left fielder since the start of the year. And if they're not worried about adding a little more money, then Taylor Ward's a perfect guy to go add.
I mean, there's a couple of interesting names. Listen, Baltimore is awful. Baltimore will be selling. Mike Farron talked about this. Ryan O'Hearn, Cedric Mullins, maybe are possibilities. Another name that's been in the chat and has been referenced by our listeners recently, and I kind of scoffed at, was Andrew McCutchen, because I thought he would finish his career in Pittsburgh. It's where he started it. He's kind of a legendary figure in an awful era, by and large, for Pirates baseball. He's not my prototypical player I'd be looking to add, but Andrew McCutchen would be an absolute upgrade. He's having a good year for the Pirates. I mean, he's old at this point. He's almost 39 years old. Point is, there's going to be a lot of options.
And almost every option's an upgrade. Almost every option. Not all of it.
How do you downgrade?
Not all of it, but almost everything is an option. So striking now and going out, and as Jeff Passan said, like, what was the words that he used about the time is now, or what was the actual words?
The actual words that Passan used were, "This is the year to send it."
Yes,
with Michael King and Dylan Cease both set to hit free agency. This is the year to send it.
So you send it, you go for it,
right?
And if you have an opportunity to get Jarren Duran, you may have to give up like a little more to get him, or if there's another guy out there that we're not even talking about right now that you could go out and get, and you may have to give up a little more to get him, I think it's a discussion that is going to have to be had inside the Padres organization, because we've talked about it all off season. Don't trade King, don't trade Cease, because you want to go for it this year. Go for it while you have those guys. And what's the point of just not being aggressive in a year when you have these guys for the now and you won't have them after this season? What's the point of keeping them if you're not going to be aggressive?
Yeah, I agree. I completely agree with that. All right, more of this conversation on the other side. Plus, coming up this hour, your chance to win a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. We will hear from Mike Schilt coming up as well, as the Padres get ready for Game 2 of their series in San Francisco against the Giants, plus Annie Heilbrunn at 5 p.m. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by Rapid Radios. Padres and Giants, Game 2 of their 4-game series tonight up in the Bay Area. 6:45 first pitch. Ryan Berger on the mound for the Padres. Gavin Sheets back in the lineup today for the Pods after missing yesterday's game. The NBA news of the day, the Knicks, they fired head coach Tom Thibodeau after taking the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. Rapid Radios are instant push-to-talk walkie-talkies offering national LTE coverage and no subscription ever, perfect for instant contact with an aging parent. For a limited time, go to rapidradios.com and you'll get an extra 60% off and free UPS shipping. Add code radio and get an extra 5% off.
How about this text, Jim? 70470 started with team. We'll hear from Annie Heilbrunn, by the way, at 5. We'll hear from Mike Schilt coming up. Padres getting ready for the Giants. Sometimes you have to be careful when you say the word Schilt. We've been good with it, but I just said it there and I was like,
whoa. I say Schilt. I never have
not once
been close to saying the other S word.
Right.
When I say Schilt.
Yeah, you're right. I'm not scared to say it.
Or Schilty.
Right. Yeah, man, right, exactly. Anyway, off the text line, 70470, start it with the word team if you want to weigh in. 619 has chimed in and said, John, you've gotten me to break out my MLB card collection, and I might have, quote unquote, accidentally bought a lot of 1,000 unopened 1988 through 1993 MLB assorted cards on eBay. Laughing emoji, Marcos and PB.
We're sorry, Marcos.
No, I wrote back and said, listen, you can't take it with you. I'm talking about the money.
Oh, yeah. Just spend all the money.
It's, what's a couple $1,000s on cards?
Groceries, no, he didn't spend a couple $1,000. Clothes, payments for cars.
For like cars, right? Not cards.
Cars. Not cards.
Yeah, but don't all people need hobbies?
Yeah.
And especially when you're going through a midlife crisis like myself.
Correct.
Where some people buy like Ferraris, maybe Corvettes, or go to climb Everest. I'm not climbing Everest.
No chance.
In any scenario.
I watched a video yesterday on TikTok of someone climbing Mount Everest.
Do you know how hard that looks?
It's ridiculously hard. And they're at the peak and their entire face is like frostbit.
Yeah.
And he's just like, he looks so miserable. Yet he's taking a video of like, around the world, basically. You're basically on top of the world.
Yeah, basically.
And he's just like, ugh. I'm like, dude, that does not look fun. And it costs so much to climb Mount Everest.
And time. Don't you have to acclimate your body to the elevation for like weeks at like the base camp and then go to the next level and wait and the next level? And then there's weather. How many people have lost their lives trying to climb Everest? Hundreds and hundreds, right?
And when you're climbing, knowing that you're like walking over dead bodies potentially.
That's why I buy cards. Because I'm not, there's not a ton of risk.
You're not climbing a base camp to get ready for the Everest hike.
It's just money. It's just money. And again, what are we going to do with it when we're gone?
Dude, I'm just imagining you.
At Everest, I'd be dead in 2 seconds. Before we got any, I'd walk off the bus dead.
You'd be like, nope, not doing this.
I mean, I would just die before even, I'd be the first like climber to die pre-climb. Like I'd be putting my glove on. I'd just die. I'd just like keel over from frostbite.
Yeah.
How do we
your
start
frail body could not do that.
Oh my gosh. There's no chance. There is no world where I could survive a attempted climb of Mount Everest. No. I'm not kidding when I say I would. The odds of me surviving would be so astronomically low.
You would barely survive a hike in like Torrey Pines.
True. Yeah, exactly. That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Where were we?
Well, you read a text on the text line and you've inspired people. You've inspired our listeners to go out there and spend their hard-earned money on
I know
cards.
where we were. You're right. But where we were is talking about the trade market for an outfielder for the Padres in the weeks ahead. 801 has chimed in and said, I think Brian Reynolds would be a great fit from Pittsburgh. About $20 million a year, if I'm not mistaken.
I don't know if you're going to go out and see the Padres go ahead and get a guy with a $20 million a year price tag.
Right, because you reported what Kevin wrote earlier today in the UT, which is what I mean. You read what Kevin reported earlier today in the UT, which was they would be willing to take on a few $1 million. He said.
So what Kevin wrote today, he wrote this: they have been looking for a left fielder since spring training and have ramped up their efforts in recent weeks.
Mm-hmm.
They're looking for one that can hit and is affordable. This is everything that Kevin has told us. But this is the interesting part. Regarding the second requirement, though, people familiar with the Padres situation say money is not the primary challenge. The team is willing to add a few million to the payroll. So a few million is a little different than 20 million.
Yeah, so 20 million, and not to mention a player like Reynolds or a player like Robert, you're paying $20 million over and over again. It's not a one-year player, which I get. That's an advantage. Maybe you get to control the player, but 20 million a year, that doesn't align with a few million. Now, what Jeff Passan wrote is Cease and King are coming off the books. Maybe that's not ideal, but it's true. So maybe you could afford a $15 million type player, because if you add them at the deadline, Jim, that's only adding $5 million. 1/3 of the season of 15 would be $5 million add for the year. But I'd be surprised if they reached and mean, those are huge contracts. Even Luis Robert, you're going to go pay him $20 million a year for each of the next 2 years. Or Brian Reynolds, how much is he owed still after this year? He's got to be owed $50-60 million at least on that contract. So I'm with you. I'd rather settle for a player in between. I don't know if Duran's in between. I don't know if Taylor Ward is in between, but yeah, I don't know if they need a $20 million player. I just think they need someone that can produce more than they've gotten to this point, which should not be hard. That's not a high bar to clear.
Yeah, you can go out and find players that will be a definite upgrade in the outfield over what this team has thrown out there in left field this season.
Right, exactly.
So,
like, again, going back to, and we're probably too far in front of it, truthfully, to be talking about it with this detail, would be my guess. Like, would you be surprised if Preller pulled it? You mentioned earlier you thought maybe they could do it sooner rather than later because of their struggles. So, like, they're aware of it.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe they strike in June as opposed to July. But would you say it's more likely in June than July? That to me still might be a stretch, right? More likely in June than July?
They can get away with it if they're winning, but the thing is, you don't want to wait too long. You don't want to just say, we're going to tempt fate here and hope that we win in spite of the fact that we have some major holes on this team. And if our star players aren't performing, like, that's a problem. You know, if you remember, this goes back to Xander, sorry. At the end of last year, during AJ Preller's end of the year press conference, he specifically pointed out that they needed Xander Bogaerts to be an all-star for them this year.
Mm-hmm.
He's nowhere close. Like from here to Pluto. That's how
he's that far. Like,
yeah,
that's the closest star.
Right.
It's like Pluto.
Well, Pluto's a planet. Kind of a planet.
What is the difference?
That's the gap between all-star Xander and what he is right now.
But what's the difference between, aren't stars planets?
Earth is not a star.
When we look at the sky, am I looking at
stars? Yeah.
But what are they shaped like a Mario star?
Huh?
Like what? A star is a planet.
A Mario star.
Like ding or whatever.
It's Mario, dude. Mario. It's not Mario, it's Mario. What is wrong with you? Brent's shaking his head back there. Mario
Steve.
Yeah. Mario?
Hey, it's me, Mario.
It's me, Mario.
I'm going to Google that real quick, though. What is a star?
A star is like a ball of gas. It's like that.
Which is the same thing as like Pluto and Neptune.
No, it's not.
The main difference between stars and planets is how they produce light.
There you go.
Stars generate their own light through nuclear fusion, while planets do not.
I'd prefer to be on a star.
See, Jupiter and Saturn, like, they're gas giants, but they're not like, I don't know. Dude.
What does that have to do with Xander?
Oh, yeah. You got me way off track here.
You're saying because he's not going to be an all-star.
Yeah, but I was also saying, like, the reason why left field and catcher are such glaring holes and they're just like in your face all the time is because Xander stinks.
Mm-hmm.
And you needed Xander to be an all-star this year. And if you had Xander, or not, you didn't have to be, he doesn't have to be an all-star this year, but he had to perform this year.
Right.
He'd be much better than he is now. And if he's much better than he is now, then the other glaring holes in your lineup don't look as glaring.
Right. Yeah, you're exactly right.
Because Xander's hitting 5th, 6th for you.
Yep.
Right. And right now, 6 through 9 in this lineup is just awful.
Yeah, I mean, Xander is on pace to hit 242 with, let's say, 7 home runs and 50 RBIs. Think about that. Now, he's going to do better than that, inevitably.
Will he?
I think he'll just, to your earlier point, because you play every day, you kind of hit more than 7 home runs.
There is. I am not going to say that he's going to do better than that.
242 with 7 and 50.
Go out and do that.
And then I love when people are like, well, he's 11 for 11 at steal tries. It's great.
He is?
Extend him.
Yeah,
he was 10 for 10. I think he's 11 for 11 in steal tries. Your point is the point, which is you needed production out of Xander Bogaerts, and they still do. Even if they go and address left field. It's not like Xander's off the hook.
No, but if you get a left fielder, like if they the name we're throwing out there is Jarren Duran, because that's the name that we've seen, right? But then it moves Xander down the lineup and it makes it look better Because when Xander's hitting 5th or 6th for you, he's just not doing anything.
Right.
He's just a waste. He's just a waste. I'm sorry. He's not good. Okay. He is an abject failure of a contract. He's going to need to have some big seasons for that to change. And I highly doubt it will. He tries hard. I mean, I appreciate that. He at least tries.
Right.
But still doesn't take away the fact that he is awful.
RBI single coming tonight.
Sure.
After all that.
Tag me. I don't care.
Jim.
Say Jim is an idiot.
Yes.
I don't care.
Do that tonight. Maybe it'll will the Padres to another win. All right, call right now if you want a free 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. This will be at the Del Mar Fairgrounds and kicks off June 11th and runs through July 6th. A great giveaway, a free 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. All you need to do is call 877-767-4760 right now. Our first 2 callers will be contestants for trivia. And we'll do that on the other side. Our trivia winner has a 4-pack of tickets to the San Diego County Fair. Call right now. 877-767-4760. We'll hear from Annie Heilbrunn coming up at 5 p.m. We'll hear from Mike Schilt in the 5 o'clock hour. This is Jon and Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, Annie Heilbrunn at 5 p.m. More on the Padres getting ready for the Giants game 2 of this 4-game series. We'll hear from Mike Schilt as well in the 5 o'clock hour. Padres, despite some of the struggles we've talked about, specifically in left field, they've won 7 of 10. They've won 3 consecutive series. They won yesterday, 1-0 in San Francisco. They'll turn to Berge tonight.
Bergie.
Ryan Berger, first career major league start.
I'm expecting a 27 up, 27 down.
Can you imagine?
It's not too much to ask for, right?
Against the Giants? No. It's like if you don't do that, be like, what did you do?
Yeah.
Just went 9 innings, let 2 hits.
Come on, you can get
the lineup's awful.
A perfect game. It's fine.
It's not that hard.
I would even ask for a combined perfect game tonight. I'll take that.
Isn't the perfect game more rare?
Yes.
Than essentially anything in the history of the sport? What would be
like
more
in a single
rare?
Game?
We've never had a 5-homer game. That would be more rare. But there's been more 4-homer games than perfect games. I think that's accurate.
Like there's been 15 perfect games?
I was going to throw out that number. I think there's been closer to 24 homer games, maybe 18 to 24 homer games. I would say there's been 15-ish perfect games. Brent's going to look it up. What do you got, Brent?
I was gonna say I just Googled rare stats in Major League Baseball. Unassisted triple play.
How often?
Only 15 unassisted triple plays have occurred in Major League Baseball history.
How many perfect games?
24. Right.
That's more than rarer than a perfect game, which has been achieved 23 times.
Oh wow.
Okay.
Do you think tonight they'll have an unassisted triple play and a perfect game?
Both.
Because it's impossible. Because it'd be 2 runners to have a triple play. What would you prefer they do tonight?
I was thinking, wait.
Yeah,
could they? No, they can't do that.
What would you prefer happen tonight?
It's not a perfect game. If it's a triple play in
What
there.
would you prefer? A Bergie unassisted triple play. He does it all himself from the pitcher's mound, or he goes 27 up. I'll take 27 up.
I'll take 27 up.
I'd take a no-hitter over an unassisted triple play, wouldn't you?
I would just take a shutout. I don't care.
I'd take a win over an unassisted.
I'll take 4-3 win.
So overrated.
I'll take 5 good innings from him. I don't care.
Over an unassisted triple play.
I'll take 4 shutout innings from Bergie today.
I'd take anything over an unassisted. I mean, it's cool, but it's not life-changing. All right,
Annie Heilbrunn might be.
Annie Heilbrunn coming up at 5 p.m. right now. Let's get to this.
All right, 3 questions, 2 contestants, and 1 lifeline. Today's 2 contestants, we have Marcos and we have John. Marcos, you called in first. We have your choice of John or Jim. Who do you want to go with?
I'm going to go with Jim.
All right, Marcos, you get Jim. That means John gets John. John,
I like that.
John, are you there?
Yeah, I'm right here.
All right, cool.
John and John.
John and John, Marcos and Jim. Brent, question.
All right, that makes it easy. All right, guys. Manny Machado has the most home runs in Padres franchise history with 174. Did you know that there are 11 players in Giants franchise history with 175 or more home runs?
Oh, wow.
Today's question, can you name any of those 11 players in Giants franchise history with at least 175 or more home runs?
So to say that again, there are 11 players in the history of the Giants that have hit more home runs than anyone has ever hit in a Padres uniform.
Correct.
That's amazing.
Yeah, the Padres' all-time record numbers aren't
right
great.
now isn't great. One day, if it's like Machado, Tatis, Merrill as like a top 3, I'm making it. Okay, that looks a lot better than what it looked like 5 years ago.
Correct.
All right.
Okay, John, you're up first. What's your first guess? You do have a lifeline if you want to use it.
Barry Bonds.
Barry Lamar Bonds. Good
Is
guess.
on the he's top 11 in Giants history in home runs. Wow,
He really is.
He started
John.
his career in Pittsburgh. Though.
I know, it's crazy. Marcos, you're up. What is your next guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to go with Willie Mays.
Willie Mays. Good guess.
A couple of the big ones off the board.
John, back to you. What is your second guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I will go with Willie McCovey.
Willie McCovey.
Great guess.
There you go. Marcos, back to you. What is your next guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I'm going to go with Matt Williams.
Matt Williams.
Matty Williams.
Okay, there we go. John, back to you. What is your next guess? Do you have a lifeline if you want to use it?
I want to go with the Panda.
The Panda?
Really?
Do you know his name? Not just the Panda?
No, I don't know his name.
I take it as a guess. No.
Do you accept that, Brent? I know he knows who. We know who he's talking about.
Right. That's why I would say it. But he's not. No accepting or not on the list.
He's not on the list.
Oh, not on the list.
Not
So
on
we
the
accepted the. Okay, so not correct.
Not on the list.
I thought that was a lot of home runs.
Yeah.
Okay.
Marcos, back to you. This is for the win, right?
For the win.
This is for the win. Marcos, what's your final guess? You have a lifeline if you want to use it.
I got somebody in mind, but I've got my lifeline. So let me hear what you got, Jim.
Okay. I'm gonna go with. I have a name. I'm gonna say Jeff Kent, and that would be my guess for you, but I'm not like entirely confident in it.
I think that's actually a good one. I wasn't thinking him, but I'm going to go with Will Clark.
Yeah, that's a better
Will
guess.
Clark
That's a
for
better guess.
the win is on the list. I
That's a
bet
much
Jeff
better
Kent
guess.
is on the list. Is Jeff Kent on
They're
the list?
both on the list.
Okay.
That was a good guess. Will Clark, I bet.
Will Clark has more though, right?
Yes.
Are they both in like the 200 range?
Actually, I think Will Clark has more.
Yeah.
Have either hit
He has
200
one more.
or
No.
both over 200?
No.
Okay.
Did you know Jeff Kent won an MVP
That's amazing.
as a San Francisco Giant?
That's unbelievable. Yeah, I do remember
and
that,
he's
but that
not
is
in the Hall
unbelievable.
of Fame as a second baseman.
I mean, should he be?
Yes.
Really?
Look at his numbers.
Now you got me.
He should be in the Hall of Fame.
When I hear Jeff Kent, I don't say Hall of Fame. I say very good player from his era. A little bit like when I say Will Clark, Don Mattingly.
I would say Jeff Kent.
All right, 290 career hitter, 855 OPS. Wait, 377 home runs. All right, he's pushing it. He's pushing it.
What else you got? That's all you got?
I mean, that's just my
How many
cursory
All-Stars? How many
glance.
All-Stars? How many MVP?
He is a 5-time All-Star. He with the one MVP.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's a little bit outside looking in. When you say 290 career hitter, 855 OPS, that's a lot of home runs for middle infielder. 5-time All-Star, okay. MVP, great. Good feather in your cap.
Baseball's such a weird.
It is
because in the NBA, guy has those like accolades, 5-time All-Star with an MVP under his belt. He's a surefire Hall of Famer.
Well, to your point, similar batters. Here are the 10: Robinson Cano, Aramis Ramirez, Torrey Hunter, Miguel Tejada, Dave Parker, Jim Rice, Scott Rowland.
Scott Rowland's a Hall of Famer.
And Luis Gonzalez, Ryan Sandberg, and the big cat, Andres Galarraga. And on that list, Dave Parker, Jim Rice, Scott Rowland, Ryan Sandberg are Hall of Famers. So yeah, he has a legitimate case. Good point. All right. Well, congratulations. Who's on this list? Who do we miss?
Willie Mays is number 1. Barry Bonds is number 2. Mel Ott was 3. Willie McCovey was 4. Matt Williams is 5. Orlando Cepeda was 6. Bobby Thompson was 7. Bobby Bonds was 8.
Oh, wow.
Oh, jeez. Yeah.
Will Clark was 9. And then Jeff Kent and Brandon Belt were tied.
Oh, Brandon Belt.
They both had 175.
Brandon
in the modern
has
era.
more home
runs than anyone in the Padres.
You guys are wondering about Will Clark and Jeff Kent. Will Clark, 176 home runs as a Giant. Jeff Kent, 175.
Oh, wow. That's interesting.
Okay.
All right, John, congratulations. You are going to the San Diego County Fair with a 4-pack of tickets. It's running June 11th through July 6th. And it's the biggest bash of the summer in San Diego. Best deal in town as well. There will be thrilling rides, challenging games, mouth-watering food, incredible exhibits, top-notch entertainment during the summer pet-tacular, because it's a pet theme. The 2025 San Diego County Fair. For tickets and info, go to sdfair.com. Annie Heilbrunn from the UT on the other side, getting us ready for Padres and Giants. Plus, we'll hear from Mike Schilt coming up as Game 2 is about an hour and a half away. We're here until 6 p.m. This is Jon Jim on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
All right, this update is brought to you by the Jim Patrell Real Estate Team. Padres and Giants, game 2 of their 4-game series tonight up in the Bay Area. 6:45 first pitch. Ryan Burgert on the mound for the Padres, making his debut for the club. And NBA news of the day: the Knicks, they fired their head coach Tom Thibodeau after he took them to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades. Would you like to know what your home would sell for today? Get a simple text message with your home's value by texting your address to 855-600-6000. You'll get no phone call, just a text. Jim Patrell has the buyer. Simply text your address to 855-600-6000.
It's Jon and Jim to warm up that drive home.
This lineup, it's formidable, at least at the top. They've scored 1 or fewer runs in 9 of their last 18 games. That's the bad news. The good news is because they're pitching and because they're bullpen like yesterday, I mean, they're winning. They're 7-3 now in their last 10 games.
That's really, at the end of the day, all that matters. Yeah. Like, if every win of the 7 wins they had were all 1-0, yeah, it would be a little weird and concerning. And I don't know if that's ever happened in baseball before, but those are all wins. They go in the win column and they count all the same.
Now, time for Jon and Jim.
All right, San Diego, Southern California, what's going on? Final hour, Jon and Jim. We do have Dierks Bentley tickets to give away this hour. June 19th, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Jim, we'll hear from Shilty, Mike Schilt.
Okay.
Coming up at 5:30. He has comments on Yu Darvish and Michael King to share with our listeners. We'll hear that coming up around 5:30. But if you missed it earlier, Annie Heilbrunn, back with us, friend of the show on Jon and Jim. And we asked her about, on one hand, the struggling offense, where they haven't scored, as you just heard in the open. On the other hand, 7-3 in their last 10 games overall. What does she make of it?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it is definitely concerning when you look at stats like they were number 1 in batting average and they were 4th best in runners in scoring position earlier this season. And then you start looking at, oh, wait a second, they were worst in batting average over the last few weeks. They were among the league's worst with runners in scoring position. Like, just to see the difference in those between the beginning of the season and the last few weeks, I think is very jarring and could point to something more concerning. But at the same time, what I can't deny about them is they've been getting it done. They've been finding, the whole name of the game is finding ways to win. And if they're able to do it when they're in a slump and most of their team is slumping, then I think that that also could mean that maybe this is something that is a positive. Like, if they can do it in these situations, maybe when they do get out of that slump, assuming that they get out of it later this season, or sooner rather than later, then they could be really dominant once again, or for the second half of the season. So I don't know the answer to that. I think it's in the eye of the beholder. I think that there are some things that you definitely want to keep an eye on, as we like to say. But the fact is, like you said, they've won 7 of the last 10. They are 1 game behind the Dodgers. They are 10 games over 500. So there are certain things that are just like indisputable about the success that they have had or the position that they put themselves in. But yeah, I don't think that they'll be able to get it done for the entire season with the way that the offense has been going, especially when you consider that they might have some other pitching problems because of injuries. So hopefully this is just a slump and they can look back and say, hey, we still were able to win when we were down and out. And so look at us now when we're dominant, and maybe that's the way we'll see it go.
Speaking of slumps, Fernando Tatis Jr., one of the worst months, I think maybe the worst month of his career last month. The vibes with him seem very low. We've seen, out there on social media, sad Tatis. What would you attribute to his recent slump? Would it be one thing? Would it be a multitude of things? Like, what would you attribute to his slump the most here?
Yeah, sad Toddy makes me sad. It's, but I will tell you this, like we were out, I was out watching batting practice the other day and, he was out there totally engaged, having fun with his teammates. I think this was on Saturday. They were having a home run derby at batting practice. And it was, they were doing all their normal drills. I don't want to make it sound like they were just trying to hit home runs, but they were just having some fun with it at the meantime. And he was completely engaged, having a great time, like totally there with his other teammates and participating in everything and not forcing it. It didn't look forced at all. So this was Friday or Saturday. It was over the weekend. So, it's not like he's walking around moping all the time at the, in the clubhouse or outside in the field. He certainly isn't. Like, he's engaged. He's talking to his teammates. He's smiling. He's laughing. You can't deny, though, that there is something going on there. And I'm surprised at how much he's tinkered with his swing. just because he talked about this past offseason working with his dad. And, he joked earlier in the season that his dad said, hey, you are a good hitter, but you're not a great hitter. And here's what can make you great. It's not chasing pitches. Let's fix your stance. And he didn't listen to his dad for a little bit. And then he listened and he started having great success with it. So, he has good with his dad, especially. I think his dad really does call him out in a good way. And so he has good ears around him. He's got Victor Rodriguez to go to. I don't know, because I'm not a professional hitter. I don't know if the tinkering is hurting him or helping him, or it's something he has to do to get out of this, or, maybe he does have to go back to one approach and just stick with it through thick and thin, but that's easier said than done. So I think you've got that going on at the plate. I personally don't know if there's anything going on with him in his personal life, and I don't want to speculate on that. But what I will say is that in interviews, he has mentioned baseball is tough. Life can be tough. Hard times can be happening. And so perhaps could there be something else happening with him? I don't know, and that's the thing. Like, obviously what he wants to keep private, he should be able to keep private. But I think that he's doing his best. He's trying to get out of it. I don't think that he, I just think that it's hard when you had such a good start to the season and then you have that complete turnaround where you just feel like you're failing day in and day out. I think it mentally messes with you, and he's going to have to figure out a way to get out of that, because certainly it's going to be a long season if he doesn't. But I believe he will. I believe he's going to get out of it.
He almost has to, and he's just too good of a player not to. So yeah. I completely agree with you. Annie Heilbrunn is with us right now on Jon and Jim. San Diego Sports 760. Is there one pitching injury that concerns you more than the other in terms of the importance of a Michael King or a Yu Darvish? I mean, they're both. You think about the roles they played last October. I mean, Darvish pitching in a Game 5, Michael King, what he did against the Braves. Does one concern you more than the other, or both concerning?
Yeah, I think they're both concerning. I thought Michael King the other day, listening to him, you probably listened to him and felt a little relieved. Hey, yep. He's in good spirits. He's having fun with the media. He talked about how his doctor said that it could take weeks or months, but he thinks it's more on the weak side. The only thing about those types of injuries is that they are very tricky, and you don't really know how your body's going to respond, because you've got to be in that rest phase. Even Mike Schultz said that when you look at the incremental progress that he's made, he emphasized the word incremental, because there's just only so much he can do while they continue to figure out what this nerve is doing and letting it rest or whatever they're doing with it. So that one's concerning, just in the sense that anything could slow that progress or delay that progress. But I think it's a good sign that Michael King feels good about it. Look, I thought Gavin Sheets was going to be out longer than he was, or he could be back. I didn't see the lineup today, but he obviously, came in the game late last night. He could be back in the lineup today. I thought Fernando Tatis Jr. would have been out longer when he got hit by that pitch about a month ago or whatnot. So it could be that Michael King, for all we know, is really going to be back sooner rather than later. And maybe it's just a matter of a few weeks, But I do think it's a little bit of a tricky situation. With Darvish, that is just a complete unknown. I think, this guy knows his body. He knows what he can do. What I worry about with Darvish is if he comes back, how much leash does he have? We know so little about what's going on with him. I don't know if he comes back, is whatever has been occurring, does it have the ability to flare up again? Or when he comes back, if he's waiting this long until his body is really ready, does that mean that he's good to go for the rest of the season? I don't know that, and they've been pretty good. I mean, just like last year with Waldron, when Joe and you were out last year, they've been pretty good, just kind of patching it up. They've hit on some of these younger pitchers. But again, the question is, are they going to be able to do that for the entirety of the season? And maybe they won't have to, right? Maybe you will be back before the All-Star break, and Michael too.
Are your antennas up with Darvish like mine are with him? I feel like there's something there that we just don't know with him.
Yeah, I think that when you just have that mileage on your body, and he works so hard and he's so good about taking care of his body. I mean, he is training, nutrition, all the advanced technologies. He's in the clubhouse doing all of that, or in the training room. So, he's got his nutrition line, he's very dialed in. So I don't think it's anything that he's not trying to fix. But I think when you just have that much mileage, I want to say 39. I might have that wrong. So, but he's close to it. He's somewhere in the upper 30s there. And when you got that mileage on your arm, there could be, Jim, there could be something that, he is aware of or the team is aware of that they just don't want to aggravate. And look, if they can get away, if they can make it work like they did last year, and they've been doing so far pretty well this year, you might just kind of save him, like he might be saved for a playoff push or used more sporadically. I think that what you can kind of read between the tea leaves on this one is even before he was injured at the beginning of the season, even before the season started, like back in spring training when everything was fine, the team had already come out and said they were going to use him less. Like they were going to give him more time off between starts sometimes. They were going to maybe pull him out of the game a little earlier. He wouldn't go so deep, like just kind of preserve the arm a little bit more. So that was like without whatever's happened since then. And now with what's happened, whatever that is that an extension of what they were talking about in spring training, or is that something new? Like, I think kind of reading the tea leaves there, it's going to be a matter of kind of preserving as much as possible. But I don't know, at this point, would you guys be surprised to hear anything? I definitely wouldn't, no, I wouldn't be surprised regarding him. Yeah.
That's the thing. Like, I wouldn't be shocked if I don't know, we heard it's going to be a long period of time, or I'm just not expecting him back anytime soon, even though we're led down this path that, he's going to throw a bullpen. And I don't know. I'm just expecting the worst and hoping for the best, I think, with you, Darvish.
Yeah, he was so good in the playoffs last year that, like, if you can, I mean, it could, like, this could turn out to be so smart for them. Like, not necessarily on purpose, although maybe give him a little credit for wanting to preserve the arm. But if they are able to make it work without you, Darvish, and he is good enough, and I think that that's like going to be the key, is like, where's his arm at by the time he comes back? But he was last year, then you get a fresh arm, maybe in September and heading into the playoffs, provided that your team has made it. So I don't know, it could be that that's the case, or it could be, oh no, we really need and miss you, Darvish, by like July, and I think that that's kind of going to be the question, is what side of the coin is this team on?
We're all going to stay tuned. I promise you that. And Andy, we always appreciate.
No, I'm just going to stop watching.
Whatever happens. Who cares? No, we do care a lot. That's why we talk about so much.
Just watch on like September 28th, and then you'll know, hey, do I want to keep going or
exactly. That's when I'm going to determine if I'm going to keep watching. September 28th. Should we watch in October?
It's not like we have nothing to talk about for the next couple of months, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Annie, appreciate it as always. Thank you so much for hopping on, Jon and Jim, and for the insight and the perspective. And we'll do it again soon. All right.
Hey, always appreciate you guys having me anytime.
All right. That was Annie Heilbrunn with us earlier today on Jon and Jim. All right. We're going to hear from Mike Shildt now on the other side. I said 5:30. We'll hear from him on the other side, then react. All right. A little bit of a change of plans.
Ooh.
Because Mike Shildt has spoken. We have the audio. We'll react to what he has to say about both you, Darvish, and Michael King. Plus, we're giving away tickets to see Dierks Bentley. Yeah, Dierks Bentley. North Highland Credit Union Amphitheater on June 19th. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. We'll do that coming up on the other side. Plus, we'll hear from Padres manager Mike Shildt. That's next on Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760, and live on the iHeartRadio app. All right, our iHeartRadio Music Festival is back. You can win your way in before you can buy them. Live performances by Bryan Adams, Ed Sheeran, John Fogerty, Mariah Carey, Maroon 5, The Offspring, Tim McGraw, and more. September 19th and 20th, T-Mobile in Vegas. 2 nights, 1 stage. Listen to win tickets before you can buy them. 9 a.m., 1 p.m., and 5 p.m., including airfare and hotel accommodations in Vegas, plus $1,000. And our exclusive Capital One cardholder, say that 3 times.
What'd you say?
Card holder.
Card holder?
And our exclusive Capital One card holder pre-sale starts Wednesday, July 11th at 10 a.m. Hold on. You're going to rip me for words.
Do it. Rip me for words. It's
in
fine.
that interview, did you catch it, Brett, either live or on replay? Jim was trying to use the word multitude. We called it multiplitude. And if you can find it, it's either the first question he asked or the second.
Multiplitude.
I think it's the first. I think it's find the word multiplitude. And I didn't call him out initially. I didn't call you out the second time.
Multiplitude.
You ripped me saying card holder like an idiot. So I need to hear multiplitude. Which you and Annie didn't call you out, which surprised
because
me.
she probably is whatever.
Because the Padres have had a multiplicitude of injuries or whatever.
They have, multitude of injuries.
So they keep multiplituding.
The multiplying. I'm such an
Brent's
idiot.
gonna try to find multiplitude.
I am such an idiot.
I guarantee some of our listeners heard that. Like, what?
Like, what are you talking about?
What's multiplitude? But because it's you, nobody even says anything.
Brent's
laughing back there. He's laughing back there.
Oh no!
A multiplitude.
Multiplitude. What?
Let me hear it. Once we have it.
Here's
and
the
then
thing.
We'll hear from Mike.
Here's the thing. I'm gonna blame being off for a week. I'm a little rusty.
Yeah, it's fine.
I'm a little rusty. All right.
What are you gonna do? Like once you're here for like 6 months straight, just blame yourself.
I'll probably put myself under the bus right there. What would you attribute to his recent slump? Would it be one thing? Would it be a multitude of things? Like what would you attribute to his slump?
It wasn't even multiple. It's a multiplitude.
Multiplitude.
That's a shilty word. All right, Brent. Do we have shill?
Multiplitude.
He's singling it out.
Oh man, two of things like
multitude of things.
Would it be a multitude of things?
Multiplitude. I love that word. Multiplitude. All right, let's hear from Shilty.
My favorite word in the English dictionary.
Shilty starts his pregame scrum with the media with an update on Yu Darvish.
I think you guys are ahead of it as I am, or equal to what the knowledge is from talking to Darvish a couple of minutes ago, and got off the mound yesterday through 10 or 11 with lower intensity, and today was able to get on the mound for roughly 16 or so with a little more intensity, and sounds like he's recovered well, feels good, and is looking to do another bullpen, towards the end of the week.
Is there a progressive timeline at this point?
I think we can listen to, we can have our timelines and we need to have them, but Darvish is, an experienced guy, and he's going to create his own timelines with us. Good news is just more about the progressions and the recovery, and the more that happens, the more definitive timelines we'll have relative to games and moving forward from there.
Anything new with Michael King and the pitcher?
Not a lot, I think I know Michael had a really good day today from all reports. Good day meaning less aches, more range of motion. So he's progressing, albeit slowly, but nothing really overly new to report.
What is the key to withstanding 26 games, 27 days without those two guys?
It's a great question. I think the same answer would be applicable with those guys to without them, but it's probably more important that what I'm about to say takes place, and that's, efficiency of playing the game well. When guys have Michael King's stuff, Darvish's stuff, you just typically can have a little bit more margin for error, but so all the things, us being able to, which we work on every day. So that's why I'm saying it's consistent regardless of who's with us or who's not. But the more players you have that are good at this game, the better and easier the game can be, right? But it's just going to be relying upon playing a clean game like we did last night, doing the little things like we did last night, getting the bunt down, getting the guy in, having the Stephen Kolicks go and perform and pitch well and match a guy that had outstanding stuff, having our bullpen come in and execute pitches and get big outs and our defense support them. So all those things to play the game the right way are all the things that are going to lead to, and the last thing is, being together, staying together and what that process looks like.
How do you throw 16 or 17 pitches?
Right.
Somewhere in the middle?
One or the other.
Somewhere in the middle of that?
So the Darvish thing is interesting because that's still not a true bullpen. Someone correct me if I'm wrong. I think a true bullpen is somewhere between 30 and 40 pitches.
Right.
So he threw 16 or 17, and he's expected to throw another bullpen later in the week. Is that Friday? Let's just say it's Friday because today's Tuesday. So let's give it 3 more days. But we're clearly in a ramp up even to a bullpen. We're not even in a ramp up to a
start
rehab.
Right.
We're in a ramp up to a rehab. No, a ramp up to a bullpen before we can ramp up to the rehab, before we can ramp up to getting back to the big leagues.
So what that tells me is he's not coming back anytime soon.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it sounds like best case, and they're not even talking timeline. To me, best case is a few weeks.
They're handling this thing with kid gloves, very delicately, like how delicate you are when you rip some wax over there.
Right. Just very,
very delicate.
Danked.
Yeah. You don't want to bend the card.
Right.
You don't want to mess up the edges. You want to just like slowly pull it out of the pack.
Right.
That's what they're doing with Darvish because there's something there. And if they ramp it up too quickly, it could turn into a disaster situation for him.
Right. Here's what I've confirmed through independent reporting. Listening to Mike Schill, I can confirm this. John Schaefer at this hour.
I like it.
With 93% of the precincts reporting on Darvish and King. I can confirm at this hour, neither Yu Darvish nor Michael King will appear during the 17-game stretch. I can now confirm that through my own reporting, which is me using my ears, that neither Michael King nor Yu Darvish will pitch in the 17-game stretch. Agree?
I will agree with that.
Because now it's a 16-game stretch that after tonight's 15. So are they back in the next 15 days?
I don't think so.
I guess if either of the two have a chance, it would probably be King. They're just like, hey, he feels better. One rehab start, boom, he's back. Maybe. I mean, he hasn't been out that long in terms of sheer time. Michael King is what? 10 days removed from starting the major league, something like that. It's not a long time. So maybe he could be back out there soon if he feels all right, but they don't confirm any timetable on anything. So that to me doesn't scream you're going to see him in the next week or two.
Because they know if they confirm a timetable and it doesn't happen, they're going to look like idiots.
Right.
Because they've done that before.
That's true.
And so they're going to be very coy. They're going to be very slow with this. And when you see them, you see them.
Yes, exactly. And again, if they're winning, you live with it. If they're not, it becomes more of a concern. Can they win without those two pitchers over the next 16 games?
Yeah. I was just thinking about, yes. Okay. Every team deals with things like this. All right. Now, is the depth a problem to overcome some of these injuries? Like, yeah. But they still have Manny Machado and Fernando Tatis Jr. and Jackson Merrill and Luis Arraez and Nick Pivetta and Dylan Cease and Jason Adam and Robert Suarez and Jeremiah Estrada and Jake Cronenworth on this team, do they not? That are active playing right now? Okay, so there can be an excuse because of Michael King being out. Darvish, he wasn't here in the first place this year, so there's no excuse for not having Darvish. And can't say, oh, well, suppose they didn't have Darvish. They didn't have Darvish in the first place.
Right.
Michael King starts. Yeah, that's okay. But they have more than enough to go out there and compete and to win baseball games and to stay in it. And I mean, frankly, it's next man up. Really no excuse mentality, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with that. I mean, they're going to have to win regardless of what they have at this point. The payroll, the expectations, the team they've put together, all of it added up.
Not everything is going to be perfect.
No,
it's not going to be like the second half of last year.
Everything was perfect.
Everything was perfect the second half of last year, and it was an amazing run. That's likely not going to happen again. So you got to suck it up as a team. You got to overcome these injuries. You need guys to step up and perform, and that's just how it's going to be. No excuses. I'm sorry. If you're a good baseball team, you overcome these types of things.
Mm-hmm.
I hate bringing them up, but the Dodgers won a World Series last year with like 1.5 starting pitchers.
Yep.
They overcame. Now, again, their payroll is like triple the Padres, but still they overcame that and they won a World Series. They won a division. So if you're the Padres, you better overcome this because that's what you're expected to do. And there's going to be no excuses. None.
Good news is they're 10 games over 500, where you're right. I mean, they were perfect in the second half. They kind of needed to be. This year, we don't know if they're going to need to be because they played better out of the onset or, at the onset of the season than they did a year ago. Much more on Padres and Giants game 2 coming up at 6:40 on the other side. Plus, we're going to give away those tickets coming up next. On the other side of a break, we'll give away a 4-pack of tickets to see Dierks Bentley at the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater June 19th. That's coming up in 2 weeks. For tickets and info, go to Ticketmaster.com. We'll give those away. Jim's back page is ahead here until 6 p.m. Jon and Jim, San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app.
This update is brought to you by Staples Stores. Padres Giants game 2 of their 4-game series tonight up in the Bay Area. 6:45 first pitch. Ryan Bergert on the mound for the Padres. Gavin Sheets, good news. He's back in the lineup today for the Pods after missing yesterday's game. And NBA news of the day, the Knicks, after making the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in over 2 decades, have fired their head coach, Tom Thibodeau. How many times have we all said that was easy? Well, the Staples Easy button is back, and it's got everyone saying it again for custom prints, shipping services, even passport photos, plus quality products delivered next day to over 98% of U.S. Staples. That was easy.
Jamming out here. Jon Jim, San Diego Sports,
like a 70s, like 80s bar. Multitude.
It's the multitude.
Multitude.
We're giving away 4
Can't even
packages.
say it's a loopy hour because I was in 4
We have a multitude of tickets.
Oh,
to see
dude,
Dirks
a
Bentley.
multitude of tickets.
4 of them. Turks Bentley, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, June 19th. Be listening. We'll let you know when to call to be this segment. At some point in the next 10 minutes, we'll give away a multitude.
Multitude
Is
multitude
better, equal, or worse than powerfuler?
more powerfuler and more powerfuler. I'm such an idiot. How did I get a job in
never change
radio talking?
You know what? Let's go there. I'm glad you asked that. Because you spent a number of years more behind the scenes.
Correct.
So your initial foray into radio was producing. That's basically what you were doing, right? Producing, producing, right? Things like that, like behind the scenes.
Yeah.
On air, but not as a host.
Correct.
As recently as the Darren Smith Show.
Correct.
Heard right here. Well, not currently, but
not heard right
here on San Diego Sports 760. Yeah. What was it that allowed you to take that leap?
That would be you, John.
Yeah, basically, I think I told the program director, I'm like, what are we doing here? I didn't say it like that. I'm like, we got Jim.
We got Jim.
Let's rock and roll. And
we did the wrap-up show that got a life of its own.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so yeah,
the rest is history.
The rest is definitely history.
It's not exactly Limbaugh.
No, not really. But
you could say the wrap-up show.
They're just getting more powerfuler and more powerfuler
by the show.
I actually said that. I can't believe I said.
I thought you were kidding when you actually said
more
that.
Powerful,
more
powerful. It's
a
multiplicitude.
Well, the thing is, when you do something for 4 hours, like the length of this show, I mean, we've never gone into a show but like, hey, we're gonna have to be perfect here. I mean, it's not, we screw up.
There hasn't been one perfect game radio show.
Right. We talked about what's rare in baseball, unassisted triple plays.
A perfect radio show does not exist, nor should it exist, because
you're reacting.
The best part of radio is like
reaction.
And I think the best part is the stupid stuff like multitude and powerfuler.
Yeah, I agree.
Multitude.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
Multitude, powerfuler.
Don't you feel though that the show has truly
gone downhill,
taken a nosedive since they went from 3 to 4 hours? As in, do you feel like we're willing to be like more, like even like looser, or like maybe not?
Well, I know that in a 4-hour show now there's a lot of loopy moments,
especially in the final hour. As we predicted,
the loopy hour gets very loopy. But it also makes for good radio, in my opinion. Sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah, we're not biased, but yeah, no, I agree. No. All right, we'll give away these Dirks Bentley tickets. North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. Well, because yesterday I said we were giving away Brad Paisley tickets, right?
You weren't even close, dude.
I was wrong.
You weren't even like Dirks Paisley. It was like just like a completely different person.
Well, that's because we had him last week. Am I wrong, Brent? Was that what we gave away when Jim was away?
Yeah.
So we had Brad Paisley tickets.
Makes sense.
And then I literally said, hey, call if you want these Brad Paisley tickets. Oh, just kidding.
Like, whoopsie.
So actually, Dirks Bentley tickets.
Oopsie.
If you're wondering about Ryan Bergert, he's pitched really well recently in AAA. Like, it's not easy to have good numbers in AAA. He had a 3.75 in 36 innings. And his last couple of starts, he was terrific. 2 runs in his last 13 to third innings. And hitters have not had a lot of success in terms of power against him this year in AAA. So I am kind of thinking good thoughts on Bergert tonight. You know, his first ever major league start. Is there a better possible, scenario than pitching at Oracle against this lineup? I just jinxed the hell out of them.
Oh, here we go.
It's a 12th run first. No batter's been retired.
This is going John. When they lose, Brent, mark this. When they lose tonight and Ryan Berger gives up a 5 spot in the first inning
without recording it out,
without recording an out,
leaves after getting hit by a comebacker.
We're bringing that back, dude. You better hope he has like 4 shutout innings.
Is there anything better than making your first ever start at Oracle against this single A lineup?
We're going to find out.
I'm sorry. I watched the Giants last night. I was like, how are they over 500? How
do they
won
score
more
runs?
of their games than they've lost?
They stink.
I mean, last night did not look good for them. I mean, they were 1 for. Did they have a hit with men in scoring position?
They did. They didn't score.
And then it was an infield hit?
Yeah, they went 1 for 12. With it probably should have been 0 for 13.
That is the ultimate jinx. Me.
It really is.
I've been Mr. Jinx recently.
Both of us have been pretty bad.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
Like, we said some stuff and it just completely has backfired. Like, again, I never discredited what Pete Crow Armstrong has done. I just merely said Jackson Merrill, in my opinion, was the best center fielder. And ever since then,
it hasn't even been close.
Pete Crow Armstrong is just like lit the world on fire.
He's second in odds to win the MVP right now.
Right. He's had an amazing season ever since I said that. But again,
right.
I never was discrediting.
No, you didn't. You're right. You just said Jackson Merrill was the best. You didn't say Pete Crow Armstrong wasn't close to the best.
I didn't say like, oh, Pete Crow Armstrong sucks.
Right. No, I get your point. I mean, it's not like Merrill's been bad. In fact, he's been good, especially recently. He scuffled.
Yeah.
And now over the last week plus, he's been good.
He's kind of righted the ship a little bit here.
Remember that the home runs for Merrill initially were so impressive. 4 home runs right away. I think he's only hit 1 home run since.
He has only hit 1 home run. You're right.
So he's only hit 5 home runs.
Yeah.
But then again, he hasn't played that many games. But yeah, you definitely
34, 35.
Yeah. Is it like how many home runs is Jackson Merrill going to hit this year?
Well, now is not going to hit 30 plus.
No. Is he going to hit 20?
I think he's going to hit 20 because he hit 24 last year. I think he's around the 20. I think he's around the 20 to 25 home run type of guy to start out.
Right.
If he was healthy, if he didn't, hurt his hammy, things are completely different.
Well, Pete Crow Armstrong has hit 15.
Yes.
He's done it with a 873 OPS.
Yeah.
He's put together a complete year. 19 stolen bases, great defense.
Yeah, he's really good. He's had a really good season.
But they're both really good. That is a good point. Sometimes when you say something about one player, that doesn't mean there can't be another great player.
That's how all of these dumb lists, and we've talked about this.
Yep.
How they're portrayed through the media when they're doing top 10 lists, and you're like, well, this guy's 7th. And you're like, okay, that's amazing still. And no one says that.
Mm-hmm.
They're always just like, oh, this guy's 9th. This guy stinks.
Right.
Like, what?
Or like, you can't compare Kobe to well, hold on.
Stop.
Yeah, it's always where you have to be careful. And you're right. It's like when you start discrediting the 7th best player in the history of a sport. We're like, oh man, he's not the best third baseman ever. He might not even be top 2. They've been playing the sport for 150 years. Like, so if you're top 3, it's pretty good.
If he's even top 5,
yeah,
top 7.
That's ridiculous. And by the way, Manny's actually there's a good case for Manny. Through his age 32 season, he's going to have more hits than any third baseman ever.
Right.
Yet, he hasn't won a World Series, and there would be people that would tell you that, I don't know, I'm making it up, Brooks Robinson or Mike Schmidt, or I don't even know. Tell me modern third baseman. Is Manny the best third baseman of his generation?
Well, Scott Rowland, he just made the Hall of Fame,
and he was never even the best third baseman of his
era. I would consider Manny Machado a better third baseman than Scott Rowland.
Oh, I don't think it's close. I really don't think it's close.
Yeah.
But there's been a lot of discrediting over the years by a lot of people of Manny Machado's career. Yet at the end of the day, 3,000 hits potentially, 500 home runs potentially.
Yeah.
So
every list nowadays is always just discrediting.
Yep.
Every player on that list for where they're at. That's why it's stupid.
It's like free throw merchant. I'm like, guy averaged 33 points a game.
I know you don't love Shea.
I
don't like Shea. I don't love Shea. He's grown on me a little bit here. I will admit that. I've said that. He's grown on me a little bit, but still some parts of his game I'm like, eh. But that doesn't mean he's not a great player. He's absolutely a great player. It's just my personal opinion on it.
And that's fair. I think there's people that have been super critical of Tyrese Halliburton, right? The players said
Yeah.
he was the most overrated player in the league.
And then he went out there and
he's just
done really well. Made the finals.
So I don't even know what we were talking about. Pete Crow Armstrong. Me jinxing the Padres.
There you go.
Ryan Berger.
Multiplitude.
What do you got?
Powerfuler and powerfuler.
Text line. I can't wait for you to return and show off his multitude of pitches.
He's got like 8 of them.
He has a multitude of pitches for sure.
All right. Call right now if you want those free tickets to see Dierks Bentley.
Oh.
At the North Island Credit Union Amphitheater, June 19th. Tickets and info at Ticketmaster.com. That's a great giveaway. 4-pack of tickets? Like, what's that valued at? Couple $100. Caller 3, you're going. 4-pack of tickets to see Dierks Bentley, North Island Credit Union Amphitheater. 877-767-4760. Call right now. 877-767-4760. Caller 3, you're going. Jim's Back Page is next right here on San Diego Sports 760 and live on the iHeartRadio app. Where's the 4 hours gone?
Let's do 4 more hours.
Let's do tomorrow. We will.
No, right now.
No.
No.
We'll do it tomorrow. Right here on San Diego Sports 760, where Kevin Acey will be back on the show.
Oh, perfect. We can ask him about these 16 or 17 pitches that you Darvish threw yesterday or today, whenever it was. Was it today? It was today.
Yeah.
Can you throw 16 or 17 pitches?
You could throw one or the other. Yeah.
You could.
16 or 17.
You threw 16 or 17? I don't know. Schulte, you know.
He knows. So yeah, Kevin tomorrow, game 3 tomorrow night, game 4 Thursday afternoon, which will allow us to hear from Mike Schill post games. They play 12:45, so we'll have plenty of time to react on Thursday to Padres and Giants as well. Congratulations to our Dierks Bentley ticket winner as well. We'll have more of those tickets to give away tomorrow. All right, without further ado, let's get to it. What have we missed?
You like ice cream?
Yeah, in theory. Yeah, cookies and cream.
In theory, you like ice cream.
Yeah, I mean, I do. Yeah, I do.
What is the John Schaefer, I have a sweet tooth, I need something sweet right now move?
Okay, I'm going to tell you right now. Because Brent knows. I've mentioned this before. I love Dairy Queen. I so rarely do it, though, because I know it's not good for me. And you know how, I'm so conscious of all that stuff.
You're scared. You're a hypochondriac.
So I would go and get a Blizzard, like a cookies and cream Blizzard. Is that living dangerously?
John's more afraid of an ice cream blizzard than an actual blizzard.
Yeah, definitely. But I would go I honestly want a DQ Blizzard right now.
Let me guess. Vanilla?
Vanilla with cookies and cream, of course.
Okay.
Why? You say
Blizzard? Every blizzard.
No, blizzards are good.
Blizzards are so good. They turn the thing upside down. You can't go wrong.
Well, I was asking if you like ice cream because this month, John, on Sunday, June 22nd, there will be an ice cream festival at 30th Street and North Parkway in North Park.
Whoa.
The 2025 Scoop San Diego features over 35 of the top ice cream and gelato vendors in the area, like Handle San Diego, Insomnia Cookies and Ice Cream, Jenny's Splendid Ice Creams, Stella Jean's Ice Creams, and Moontime Creamery, and more.
So a multitude
of ice cream places. Yeah. Scoop San Diego's mission is to, quote, celebrate people's shared love of ice cream as a catalyst for social connection and human compassion.
If you could go right now and get ice cream from anywhere in any flavor, what would you get? It doesn't have to be exquisite, like over the top, like branding, but what would you get? What would you get?
I would probably get Ben and Jerry's.
Yeah.
What's it called? I'm blanking on the name, but it's like cookie dough with brownies, chocolate swirl, vanilla ice cream, chocolate ice cream.
Is cookie dough one of the great things to ever happen?
It's the greatest.
Seriously, it's amazing.
Cookie dough is amazing. Put cookie dough in anything.
Come on,
not anything, but put cookie dough in any ice cream, and
you lose an extra innings. Have cookie dough.
Right.
You know what I mean? Everything's fine.
If you're upset and you're a little hangry,
cookie dough.
Eat cookie dough.
I completely agree.
Am I the only one that's shocked that John eats cookie dough?
It's so good.
Yeah, but it's got raw eggs in it.
I know.
It'd be like,
but I feel like if they're selling it to the American public, it's not
I won't get on a plane with a 0.07% chance.
No, I'm not getting on a plane that's going to go down. How are we comparing a plane that's going to go down to eating raw cookies?
Because you over worry about everything, and people that over worry about cookie dough say that you can get salmonella.
Yeah,
and it's
I
bad
wouldn't
for
eat
you.
the full batter.
I probably would.
The full,
I would.
I'd be sick.
I'm with Jim. I would.
It's so good.
Anytime I make cookies, I always leave like a good amount of the batter to eat.
By the way, remind me of this if I'm ever on my deathbed, or if you come to visit me on my deathbed, bring me cookie dough.
Okay,
right?
I'll just knock you right out.
Yeah, and it tastes so good.
Yeah, there you go.
This is a good way to go out.
Maybe cookie dough.
Right.
By the way, I had some of the best ice cream in Hawaii. It had like macadamia nuts.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for bringing those back for us.
Dude, it was the best ice. It had cookie dough in it.
Oh,
it was the best ice cream I've ever had.
Really?
Anyway,
should have brought some back.
I wish I could, but then it would have melted and it would have been a disaster. Caitlin Clark, she was on the cover of Slam magazine way back in the day when she was at Iowa.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know what year is this? It doesn't say the year. But she debuted on the Slam cover back in the day. It got graded, like the magazine got graded.
Right.
A 9.9 grade on this.
So like a perfect graded. A perfectly graded magazine.
It's a CGC 9.9 from Clark's April 2024 issue. Sold at an auction for $4,819.
Wow. Would you have? That's not that much money.
No, but I don't know if I'd pay $5,000 for a magazine. I don't know.
No, I thought you said 500. It was $5,000?
$4,819.
Okay. No, I wouldn't pay $5,000 for a magazine.
Yeah, nearly $5,000 for a Caitlin Clark Slam magazine when she was at Iowa.
Dude, have you seen her card market? I'm serious.
Yeah, it's
her
kind of
cards
crazy.
Are crazy.
It says the legend of Caitlin Clark is just beginning. That was on the front of the magazine.
And they were right.
And finally, selling on eBay, John. Brent, you might like this. So Michael J. Fox, he signed a 2015 Cubs World Series Game 5 ticket. And as you remember, John, like you've watched the movie 100 times, I'm sure.
But it said like we've referenced this. The Cubs are going to beat the
Marlins
or something.
And Back to the Future 2, the Cubs won the World Series in 5 games against the then Miami Marlins.
The Miami Gators, actually.
That was the Marlins.
Oh.
No.
But it said Miami.
Yeah, so it was
Miami.
It was
amazing.
It was
Miami.
Yeah,
it said Chicago, the Cubs beat Miami.
That's amazing.
And so that went on auction on eBay. Right now, the bidding for it is at $710.
Wow. And the bidding is still
actually
going on.
That actually just sold. It sold for $710. This ended yesterday night.
Oh
my God.
It ended bright yesterday night.
This has ruined my day. I'm gonna have to go eat cookie dough now.
Are you gonna? Well, you could have it maybe yesterday. Did you have any cookie dough yesterday night?
I'm such an dude.
Or are you gonna have
yesterday
it today,
night?
or would you
what
have it
am
today?
I doing?
Or you could have it tonight. Or you could have it tomorrow tonight.
Multitude yesterday night.
What's yesterday night?
What is yesterday night? I have no idea.
I was about to curse. Like,
what is multitude? Yesterday
night? It ended yesterday.
Last night, you.
Yeah,
moron.
most people would say last night. Most people like my 6-year-old.
Yesterday night.
By the way, you buried the best back page item of our lifetime.
What?
Well, just for today.
What I bury?
The Orlando Magic have new uniforms that look like the old Orlando Magic uniforms when Shaq was there, and they look really good.
Okay.
They're not full retro, but you should check them out. And they do look good. They're kind of back page-ish. I guess you can't describe them.
This happened yesterday night?
They built it earlier this morning today.
Are they bringing back the alternate blues?
They have a white pinstripe, a black pinstripe, and like a variation.
They're bringing back the 95 jerseys as their main jersey.
Yeah, you know which one I'm talking about, right?
They're a little different. They're a little different, but when you see them, Brent, I think you're going to like them. By and large, they've gotten really favorable reviews.
I always love the blue.
Yeah, look, and they're on the rise, right? Orlando in general.
Yeah,
they've been better.
I mean, the postseason this year, but they've lost to Boston. So yesterday night.
Yesterday.
Jimmy,
I can't even deal with this.
I can't.
All right, we're back tomorrow at 2. Kevin Acey will be on the show. Wrap up show tonight for Brent and Jim. I'm John. Keep it here to San Diego Sports 760.
Okay.
Just like you did yesterday night.